All parties in the matter of DeMars versus Bona, step forward, please.
Food server Janice DeMars is suing her ex-boyfriend, computer technician Rockford Bona, for an unpaid loan to start a business. Rockford says the money wasn't a loan, it was an investment.
Mr. Morris, you and Mr. Bona were in a relationship several years ago, and you claim that you made a loan to him. He was starting up a new business. You want that money back. How much did you loan him?
$5,000, Your Honor.
Mr. Bona says that this was never a loan. This was an investment that you made in his business. I've read your papers very carefully. I want you to tell me when you gave him the money and tell me about the circumstances surrounding you giving him the money.
Okay. I met him in 1998, and July 23rd, 1999, I was over at Rocky's house, and we discussed a loan about him creating some software. So I went home, got the money, and put it in the bank. Jim came with me. So I do have a witness. I have the receipt because he gave me a deposit slip, and that was the circumstances of the loan. And I did want it back. It was never a gift.
He didn't say it was a gift. All right, now you tell me your end, Mr. Bona, and then I'll make a judgment. Go ahead.
All right, Your Honor. First of all, this is really not about money. It's about relationship issues.
Let me hear about the money first.
Okay.
You worry about the relationship. I'll worry about the money.
I was working for a company, and Janice here was with me when I was talking to the marketing guy about how the company was going to try to solicit investors for the software. She got excited about it and wanted to invest in it. I said, great. First of all, it's not my company, and she dealt with them directly, not I.
I did not, Your Honor.
Where did you put the money?
I did not take the money, Your Honor. She put it in the company herself.
Put it in your account.
I put it in his account. He gave me a deposit slip, and I put it in the bank in St. Cloud because he lives in Ham Lake, which is 60 miles away or so.
Well, did the money eventually find its way to your account, sir?
Not to me personally, no. Your
To whom?
I have a receipt.
Shh. To whom?
To the corporation I was working for.
Okay. Were you a shareholder in this corporation?
No.
Did they go out of business?
Correct.
When did they go out of business?
2000.
I was never notified. He never kept me informed about any business loan. It was not a business loan. It was
Sure
personal.
it was. You want to know why it was, Mr. Morris? And I'm going to tell you why. Because I read your complaint very carefully. This is what you said in your complaint. We discussed from the beginning that I would not get any money back for at least 2 or 3 years because that is how long he expected it would take to make a profit.
But
that's what you wrote. Bert, that is right, isn't it?
But after 2 years, he didn't even try to pay me back.
right.
He never called.
He doesn't. Listen to me. Listen to me.
Whatsoever.
This is what you wrote in your complaint, Mr. Morris. So this was money, whether it was an investment or a loan. It is clear to me that the intention was that you would get your money back when the company made a profit. Here are your words. I'm going to read them again, Mr. Morris. I'm going to read them again. We discussed from the beginning that I would not get my money back for at least 2 years because that is how long he expected it would take to make a profit.
Yeah, if he would call me up, keep me informed, and let me know what's going on. He never did anything like that.
Hey, it's your money, so you've got to be smart enough to call him.
Yeah, I guess.
You've got to be smart enough to call the company. That's your job.
Well,
That's your job.
He took advantage of me. He
So
really
take
did.
advantage of you. What does that have to do with me? You gave him money. You invested in either him or the company. Clearly, you expected to get money back. You expected
Yes,
to
I
get
did.
your money back
Yes,
from
I
the
did.
company.
Well,
Because
it
that's
was a
what you said in your sworn complaint. When the company made a profit, you expected to get your money back. That's what you said.
Well, I expected him to let me know what was going on. There was no papers filed about the company whatsoever.
My
I put it
dear,
in-
there were no papers filed that this was a loan.
And
There were no papers filed that this was a loan.
then I do have...
Mr. Bona, agreed to repay Mr. Morris $5,000 within 2 years because the money she gave me is a loan.
I have 2 personal receipts that were signed by him, too.
For?
$2,000 and $500 apiece.
That has nothing to do with this. What are you bringing this in for? I'll see those.
Okay.
Let me see. Let me see those.
He promised to pay me back.
Shh, just a second. What is it? Here you go. Now, this wasn't the $5,000. Is that right, Mr. Morris?
No, this is...
This wasn't the $5,000.
No.
So he promised to pay you these 2 things. I received $2,500 from Mr. Morris and promised to pay her back. I owe Janice DeMars $2,500 for 1 engagement ring set, right? Now,
Yes,
you're not
but
suing for any of this, but when He gives you a loan. He gives you a note.
But then when he agreed to come on the show, he comes over to my place and he goes, Janice, I'm going on the show for a favor for you. Just consider yourself a $5,000 hooker. And that's
Mr.
what
Morris,
you told me. It's
Mr.
ridiculous.
Morris, Mr. Morris, he may not be a nice person, madam.
No, he's not.
Very good. You gave him $5,000 anticipating this company was going to make money. It didn't make money, went out of business. You should have kept better
Where's
track
the
of your
proof?
money in case
Where's
it's
the
dismissed.
proof?
Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, it's totally unfair because it was not a business loan.
This woman is completely insane.
I feel like I should get my money back. I really do. I gave him that money and he's not going to have to pay me back.
I can't believe the lengths this woman has gone to sabotage my relationship with the woman I love.
He came over to my house and said, you know, I'm doing this as a favor for you.
The issue is about a relationship, not about money.
He kept on and off in a relationship, and that's why I waited, because I thought, you know, I was being nice.
She became addicted to me.
But it doesn't pay to be nice.
Some kind of sexual power, you know?
Real estate broker Karen Hesevik is suing Richard Boudreau and Mary Whitney for making a false complaint to her employer and causing her to be fired.
Order. All rise. Hello. Okay. Yeah, this is case number 244 on the calendar in the matter Hesevik versus Boudreau Whitney. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Hesevik, it is your complaint that because of the defendant's conduct in reporting certain behavior that really never happened on your part, that you lost your job. You want to be compensated for that. Is that
Yes,
correct?
that's correct.
And the defendants say that they had some business dealings with you. They found your conduct unacceptable. They reported that to your boss, and they had a legitimate right to do that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. What kind of business were you in?
I sold gutter cover to keep debris out of gutters.
And how long had you worked for them?
About 4 or 5 months.
How did you find the defendants, or they found you?
They called in, I think, on a radio ad.
Is that true?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Okay. What happened that caused you to call and make a complaint about the plaintiff?
Your Honor, basically it was just Karen's behavior. We were very interested in the product. It looked very good. And I expressed to her in the beginning.
Tell me what the product looks like.
It's actually a sheet metal device that goes over your gutter to deflect the needles and leaves off the gutter and allow the water to go in. Awesome product. Anyhow, we were very interested in the product. Karen came out to the house. We asked her to do an estimate. She left me with a tape and a sample of the product. I expressed to her that I wanted my wife to see the tape because she wasn't home at the time.
What date was that?
I believe that was the Saturday, the 24th, I believe was that was
Okay.
the date, yeah. Anyhow, she expressed to me that she needed the tape back. It was her last tape. And I clearly understood that and promised her we'd get it back to her. My wife got home late that evening, didn't get a chance to view the tape. The next day, she did, which was a Sunday. We in turn decided at that point that we had some friends that would be interested in the product as well. So we figured we'd hang on to it till Monday and get it back to her. Over the weekend, Karen left several nasty grams on my telephone, on my cell phone, expressing her desire to get the product back.
The tape back.
Right. Come Monday, she made a phone call or two to the house, which my wife, Whitney, answered, and she can tell you basically what took place
She called
there.
me on the phone. She called me on the phone and she says, I really need to get my tape back. And I said, well, I got a friend that owns a gutter company, and I wanted to let them see it to see if they thought it was credible, that it might work. And she goes, well, I really need to get my tape back. I says, well, do you only have one tape? She goes, yep, I only have one tape. I go, well, okay, fine. I said, come get it. And she did.
On what date did she come?
It was
in?
on Monday evening.
Okay.
Which would have been the 26th, Your Honor.
Okay,
Yeah,
so what
26.
happened when plaintiff came and got the tape?
At that point, Your Honor, I'd arrived home from work, and I got a knock on the door, and it was Karen. She was obviously upset. I said nothing at first, went and got the tape, handed it to her, and said, I apologize that you didn't get it back as quick as you wanted based on the messages I retrieved. She was obviously upset. She got cranky with me and, grabbed it out of my hands and was obviously not real happy about the whole thing. And I said, Karen, the product that you're representing is awesome. I love it. We're interested in it. But the way you're treating me, I'm not going to buy anything from you. Her response was, I don't want to sell you anything. And I said, fine. Then I asked her to leave or I'd call the police. Now, several days went by and I got a subpoena served to our house. And it referred to a Bruce Hesevik who was suing us for something. Now, I never met a Bruce. I haven't got a clue who Bruce was. So I was shocked. I didn't know what it was all about. In doing further research, I recognized the last name, which is on the back of her flyer, Hesevik and then Karen. So
What kind of subpoena did you get?
I got a small claim subpoena that said my wife and I, who she never met, Your Honor, were being sued for loss of income, libel, malicious behavior, slander, and so on.
May I see it, please?
Sure.
Now, in between during that week's period of time, had you in fact called the plaintiff's employer?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you left that part out.
I beg your pardon,
sir.
ma'am. I did call the gutter people I spoke to, Mr. Steve And I expressed my interest in this product. And I said, a lady named Karen came to our house to show your product over the weekend. Left us a tape. We wanted to view the tape for a longer period of time. She took it back, was very upset with me for keeping it. Can you please send me another tape? And he said, well, you're saying Karen. And I'm saying, yes, Karen. He says, well, I have no Karen working for me. He goes, there is a Bruce that works for me in that area. You sure it wasn't a man? I says, no, it was a lady named Karen. Fine, I'll send you a copy of the tape. Then a short while after that, we had a sheriff come to our house looking for us. We weren't there. We had a PTA meeting. My boys told us.
And then you got served with
Served after, yep. Okay. And then I went down to the courthouse and filed for a jury trial, figuring I'm going to get this thing out in the open.
Okay, now I got you.
Bingo.
And it would be fair to say that in your conversation with Mr. you voiced some displeasure with the salesperson.
Absolutely.
You did. You said, I don't like the way I'm
Absolutely,
being treated. I didn't like the way I was treated.
No, I'm a sales manager, Your Honor, and I think when you want to make a sale, you're
Okay.
nice to people.
Bruce and Karen, same person?
Yes.
Okay, so that's both you. Now, when you went to work for this gutter cover company, did you interview with this Mr.
Yes. I actually did sales before I ever met him, and then,
for the same company?
yeah, I was working for the previous franchiser,
Okay.
and he came down after that. I sold several deals before that.
When you interviewed and worked for them previously, you worked for them as Bruce.
Right.
To your knowledge, did this Mr. know that you were also Karen?
We had talked about it. I called the office and said that there would be a person as Karen out there, and that my hair was long, and that people do see me as a woman.
You intend to maintain that persona?
Yes.
My problem, Ms. Hesevic, is that you seem to ascribe some behavior to the defendants, which is actionable. Why do you believe that they do not have a right to call your employer and say, I'm dissatisfied with the kind of treatment that I got from your rep. I like the product. I'm interested in buying the product. And if your employer decides, for whatever reason, to let you go, why do you feel as if you have the right to sue the defendants?
Because when I talked to Steve on Tuesday, he told me that the severity of their complaint against me was such that he had to believe that they were telling the truth. I told him they were not telling the truth, and then I told him exactly what happened. And as she said, she told me to come out and pick up the tape. On the phone call, she did not say that. She hung up on me. And I have copies of the phone call that was made to him. He said I made several threatening phone calls.
You went out there to get the tape?
Yes.
No, I said
What
nasty grams. I didn't say phone call.
Nasty grams.
Yeah, on my cell phone.
When you went out there to get the tape, tell me what happened.
Well, I got out of my car. Their kids yelled from the top of the deck that the lady from the gutter is here. And I heard her yelling at her kids, I don't want to talk to her. Tell them to go down to the basement door and talk to the father. And so they came out and told me that. So I went around under the deck into the basement door that they have there. He opened the door part way and handed me the tape, and he said some remarks to me. And I said, well, you promised to have it back to me by 5 p.m. on Saturday. I said, you never called? He said, oh, yes, I did. But I was at home from 3 o'clock all the way till 10 o'clock at night. There wasn't one phone call. I have a message machine on my machine.
There you go. That's why you didn't answer it.
And
Sorry.
no messages were even left.
Nope. That's
So?
true.
So, yeah.
So?
And, yeah, so he didn't call to say he wasn't going to meet me. He could have left a message machine on there. He knew that the
So what
tape
did you
was
say to
important. He made some comments, and then I told him that I had to use that for sales, and that as he knew I had appointments on Monday morning. I didn't get the tape till 7 o'clock Monday night.
And?
So he says, well, you're losing more business.
You forget the golden credo,
Yep.
which is the customer's always right.
Want me to deliver the damn tape? I'm sorry.
The customer's always right. Because you had a real live customer there. You had a customer who was really interested in your product.
$6,000.
Listen,
I'm sorry.
that's a hothead. Let me ask you this question. Why didn't you call Gutter and have them give you another tape?
I had sent a memo up to him on Monday morning saying that I needed another tape.
Why didn't you go there?
Oh, they're out of Seattle, and I'm in Portland, Oregon.
Oh, so they have to send it to you.
Yeah.
Why did you wait until you were down to your last tape?
I only had one tape all the time.
That sounds like a not very good policy. What happens if that
That's
tape?
all the company gives.
Well, that's kind of stupid.
Right, yeah.
You don't have a cause of action, Ms. Hesevic. He has an absolute right to call the company and say, I don't like her attitude. I don't like the way she spoke to me. I was interested in your product. I'm still interested in your product. He's not trying to put one over on these people. He's calling and saying, listen, your lady who you sent out here was rude. She took off. She doesn't want to do business with me. I'm still interested in doing business with your company. Send me another tape and send me another rep. And if by virtue of that statement, Mr. let you go as the rep for the company in your area, so be it. It may also have been that Mr., and I don't know, he's not here, was not happy about not knowing what gender person was going out. He thought it was one gender, and it turned out to be a different gender. That's possible, too. That coupled with what they said, listen, I don't need this aggravation. But they have a right to call.
Yes.
They have a right to make a complaint. That's what the First Amendment's all about. So your claim is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Basically, what happened as a result of this individual not being honest.
Some people can lie and get away with it.
Honesty is the best policy. You know, she should have been honest, and she wasn't.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Snyder versus Brooks. Step forward, please.
25-year-old hairstylist Jamie Ginsburg Schneider and her husband, Richard Schneider, are suing their neighbor, insurance agent Aaron Brooks, for destroying their entertainment system. The Schneiders say Aaron was watching their home while they were on vacation.
Mr. Schneider, the defendant is a neighbor of yours.
That's correct, ma'am.
And according to your complaint, you went away on vacation. Is this your wife?
Yes, ma'am.
And you had a house sitter there to take care of your dogs, and the defendant volunteered also to check on the dogs in the evening.
That's
She had a
correct.
key to your apartment. According to you, when you came a time when you discovered that some entertainment equipment was either damaged and or missing, or was substantial loss on your part for this entertainment equipment, some sort of game station, television receiver. Ms. Brooks says that there was a terrible storm. And when she came down to check on the dogs, she also checked on the
equipment, lights, everything.
and she found that the equipment wasn't working, so she took it up to her house, right?
Correct.
To do something with it. And she immediately, when questioned about it, put it back, and she doesn't know anything, right?
Correct.
Can I see the estimates for the damage?
Yes, ma'am. The first one is the original receipt for the game center. That was the replacement receipt, and this
Just
next
give me
receipt-
what it cost to replace it.
I believe the totals came to about $1,533. The game station was $213.
Right.
A television, $250. And for the replacement home theater, it came to $770.91.
What's the home theater?
That includes a home theater receiver as well as speakers, speaker wire.
Well, was all that destroyed?
No, ma'am, it wasn't destroyed. However, the speakers that went with the original one were incompatible with the newer model to replace that actual home theater receiver, so they needed to be purchased in order to work with the new receiver.
So my question to you, Ms. Brooks, is you had an agreement that you would come in the evening and check on the dogs. Is that right?
Yes.
What were you thinking about putting your hands on any of their equipment?
Well, we went in, Candace would watch TV there every night. I would go in and sit with the dog there and bring it up to my apartment.
Bring what up to your apartment?
The dog.
So you brought the dog up to your apartment. It's not what I asked you. You took entertainment equipment from their house to your house, and I'm asking you why.
Well, because all the lights were out and nothing was working in the apartment, and
So?
same thing in mine. So I did check their stuff. The Xbox would not come on. Everything else did.
Why did you take it to your apartment?
I wanted to see if it would work up there. I did not know what was wrong, and I just checked
Well,
it.
they didn't ask you to do that.
Well, I know that, but I took it upon myself to do that. There was other people in the apartment. 3 other people had keys.
That's okay.
It was 2
Just a second. I don't care. Other people did not take equipment. I mean, that's burglary. Madam, you had no permission to do that. You had limited permission. Your limited permission was to enter the house to look after the dogs. You had no permission to check the equipment. You had no permission to touch the equipment. No permission to remove it from the armoire where it had been housed. No permission to take it up to your apartment. No permission to try to see if it worked in your apartment. You had no permission to do that.
Your
That's
Honor.
burglary. What?
Miss Brooks also told us when we got home and noticed all the damage that she was entertaining friends the night that she took the equipment out of the house, and she did not want to bring the friends into our apartment for fear of something happening. So she decided to take the stuff upstairs to her house. That way they could use it in her apartment instead of
And you
being
had
in
this
ours.
conversation with her?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, what?
I did tell her that.
Why did you tell her that?
Because I was honest with her when I called her, and she
So then
called
why
me.
ded you just give me this story that you didn't take the stuff up there, you just took it up to see if it worked in your
I
apartment?
did. Well, we did have people over there. We
So
lived
you were
down there
playing
together.
with the equipment?
Yeah, we used it.
An idiot. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,233. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
You need to own up for your responsibilities.
Did not break it. I didn't do any of that.
Just make sure the people watching your belongings are trustworthy.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of LeBron versus Pat Bird. Step forward, please.
Receptionist Peggy LeBron is suing former friend, mechanical engineer Greg Patford, for walking through a plate glass window in her home. Peggy says Greg was drunk on vodka.
This case is really sort of interesting. Miss LeBron, your husband was arrested.
Yes.
Because he went to shoot some of your neighbor's dogs with a BB gun.
Correct.
And as the police were taking him away, he told you to go and get the defendant, who was a bail bondsman.
Well, before that, Your Honor, he came back into the house. He got into an altercation with the neighbors because they saw him shooting at their dog. He came back into the house and got a real gun and pointed it at the neighbors.
Oh, so this time he pointed a real gun.
Correct.
Bottom line is, as the police were taking him away, he told you to go get the defendant, who was a bail bondsman.
No, he knows bail bondsman.
Or he knows bail bondsman. So what did you do? Where did you go to get him?
He lived right around the corner from our house.
So according to you, you went and you got him and you invited him over to your house.
Correct.
And he sat there all day drinking vodka and orange juice. And he got drunk and proceeded to break a plate glass door in your house. And you want him to pay for the door.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
what this case is about. Do you understand?
I heard it. I just don't.
All right. Now, Miss LeBron, I have a couple of questions for you. They take your husband away. You go around the corner and you get Mr. Patberg. And what do you say to him?
I said that my husband was just arrested and that he wanted me to come get him because he knows bail bondsman.
And he said, okay, I'll come to your house?
Correct.
Now, did he come back to the house with you?
Yes.
What time of the day or evening was this?
It was early in the morning.
Now, when he got there, what did he say to you?
He called a bail bondsman.
And did he make arrangements?
Well, they had to wait until my husband was processed.
Now, where did he get this vodka from?
I don't remember exactly where he got it that day.
I'm
but
talking
he
about
always,
that day. That's the day that he...
He always drinks vodka.
No, I understand. I don't understand that he always drinks vodka. I'm talking about that day. That's the day when he broke the door. You say he sat in your house all day.
Mm-hmm.
Until what time?
Until after my husband was brought back to the house later that night.
So he was drinking all day?
Correct.
Whose vodka was he drinking?
His own. I don't drink vodka.
So he brought the bottle with him?
He would have had to have.
Where'd you get the vodka from?
I believe we went out later in the day and purchased it.
What do you mean you believe?
Well...
Shh! What do you mean you believe? You
Well-
got drunk. That was clear. That's what she says. That's what you say.
Yes, that's correct.
And you were drinking all day?
No, I was not drinking all day.
A part of the day?
A part of the day.
Where did you get the vodka from? Is my question.
From the liquor store.
Where was the liquor store?
Well, less than a mile away.
How did you get there?
Peggy gave me a ride.
Did you give him a ride to the liquor store?
I could have. I have before.
Were you drinking too?
Not vodka.
I don't care what you were drinking. Were you drinking too?
Beer.
So you don't remember whether you gave him a ride to the store? You could have.
I could have.
Let's say you did. Miss LeBron, you allowed him to get drunk in your house. What do you want from me? Should have said, take your vodka and go home. You're lucky he's not suing you for almost killing himself going through your plate glass door. This is a very easy lesson. If you allow someone to become inebriated in your house, and in this case, you don't even remember because you were probably so looped yourself, you don't even remember getting in your car and taking him to the liquor store. But if you permit him to get so drunk in your house that he staggers through a plate glass door, you are responsible. Totally responsible. You're not supposed to furnish a place where somebody can get so intoxicated that they can hurt themselves, certainly not cause damage to your place. They cause damage to your place. You pay for it. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy.
He got drunk and fell through my sliding glass door and broke it.
I'm not denying that I broke the door. I broke the door.
Figured he would take some responsibility for his own actions.
I did try and take responsibility for the door.
He hasn't lived up to his responsibility at all.
I went to the store, purchased plywood, and at least put plywood in replacement of the glass.
It wasn't because I was inebriated. I don't drink and drive.
25-year-old student Melanie Johnson is suing her ex-boyfriend, Mason Tony Wendling, for the return of property and for unpaid credit card bills. Tony is countersuing for damages to his car and for ruining the slipcovers on his couch.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 360 on the calendar in the matter of Johnson versus Wendling. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
Miss Johnson, you and the defendant lived together for a brief period of time. Is that right?
That's correct, Your
How
Honor.
long?
3 years.
According to your complaint, when he put you out, because he put you out of the house that you had been sharing, he kept certain property of yours. The property was a washing machine that had been given to you by your mother.
That's correct.
And in addition to that, you claim that he owes you for some credit card bills where he used your credit card, several $100s worth. He says that you can have your washing machine back, but you have to give him the $250 that he put into the washing machine. In addition, he says that the only thing that he charged on your credit card was a $60 pair of shoes. The defendant has a counterclaim. He says that you damaged his car at some point and that you shrunk his slip covers when you washed them because you were a poor laundress. Is that right, sir?
Yeah, she don't know how to do laundry.
Well, that's unfortunate. I'm sure she has attributes other than laundry.
Yeah, she does.
Good. So get over the slip covers. Now, when did you stop living together?
It was August the 5th, the day after the Brickyard 400 in Indianapolis.
All I heard was August the 5th. The rest of it I didn't hear.
Oh, I'm sorry, August the 5th.
Did you say anything after that?
Yeah, I said it was the day after the Brickyard 400. That's how I remember, but that's really not important.
August the 5th. Mr. Wendling, I'm going to get you a counterclaim first because I like to dispose of things in a neat way. The slip covers she laundered when?
In July. It was right before August 4th.
But you were still living together when she did the laundry, and she
Yes.
laundered the slip covers.
Yes, ma'am.
And she didn't do that on purpose because she was angry with you. She just laundered the slip covers.
No, she didn't. I asked her not to do it. I told her that if she did wash it and dry it, that it would shrink and you wouldn't be able to put it on there.
Okay. And she did it anyway. Now, when was the damage to your car?
The car was damaged on November 4th,
Of 2001?
2002, day before voting day.
I thought you broke up in August.
We did. We have kids together.
Just August 5th, 2002, you broke up. So you mean the car was damaged after you broke up?
Yes.
Really? What happened to his car?
Well, he claims that I
No,
drove
you
it.
tell me. Don't tell me what he claims.
I didn't damage his car. I took it down to the gas station and came right back and did
What
no
were you
damage
doing
to
driving his car?
I asked him if I could drive it. My car was in the shop, so he said that it was fine to drive his car.
No, that's a fib. That's a fib that you're just telling me, Miss Johnson. I don't like when you fib to me.
Can I tell you how it happened?
Sure. I tend to believe you, Mr. Wendling.
Okay, on November 4th, day before she goes to school, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, etc. We have a 2-year-old boy together. Plus, she has a 4-year-old son from her previous marriage. I go over to her house because I just don't like anybody to babysit my son.
Tell me what happened with the car.
Okay, anyway, make a long story short, the day of the 5th, we were arguing about the washer before she went to school. I didn't want my son to hear us arguing. We went out there, she kicked the quarter panel on my car, which she gets, mad and crazy all the time. So anyway, that didn't matter to me. I went back in the house, she went to school, me and my sons went to sleep. I'm a block mason, and I work real hard every day.
You went to sleep? Come on.
Yeah, I went to sleep
Tell
on the
me,
couch.
let's get to the
She
car.
came home, I was asleep on the couch, got mad, tried to wake me up. Her car was not working. She took my car, took it to the store. When she brought it back to her house, there's bumpers that separate the grass from the concrete. They're about this high. I have a Firebird. They're low to the ground. She ran up
I've
on
done it myself.
Okay, and I have
You
pictures.
go over and it goes over fine, but when you try to pull back, everything comes off the car. Is that what happens?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is that what happened?
Yes.
So wasn't that easy?
Well, I didn't kick his car.
I'm not talking about kicking it. Wasn't it easy just to say, that's what happened? I went over a bump.
Yes, but
and
I
when
didn't
pulled
kick
back,
his car. And I don't want you
he's
to
not,
think I'm
just a
vindictive.
second. He's not suing you for kicking his car. He says that you took the car, you went over a bump, you pulled back, the bumper came off the car, right? And you
That is
did
true.
that.
Yes.
How much is it to fix the bumper?
$1,930.
What year Firebird is this?
92.
Oof. Let me see the estimate.
Here's a picture of it. And the estimate. And the kick dent is involved in that 1932.
Is or is not?
It is. And she's wrecked all my cars, Your Honor. Every car that I've owned, she's wrecked.
All right, I can find the fender, because that you're not interested in, right?
Well, yeah, I'm interested in it.
You just told me a minute ago that you
Well,
were going to
she's suing
forget
me,
it.
so I'm going to sue her back.
Shh, just a second.
I mean, what's right,
3 hours painting is 2 hours, and 8.5. Okay, now let's talk about this washing machine. Your mother gave you a washing machine as a gift?
Yes, she did.
Did Mr. Wendling put down $250?
No. He says he did, but he did not.
Tell me about it.
Well, his birthday is in the end of June. He acts like the whole month of June is like his birthday month, so he does. And he didn't give me any money at all in June. We were arguing in July, and he didn't give me any money in July. So I don't know where he's getting that he gave me any money whatsoever.
Well,
He
could
didn't
you
even-
please tell me when the washing machine was purchased?
It was in June.
Who went to purchase the washing machine?
I did, and I put it on my mom's credit card.
Can I see proof of that?
I don't have it with me. I asked her for it, and she didn't give it to me, so.
Oh, why don't I have it?
Because she said, I'm tired of talking about this, is what she said, because we've been
Well,
going
that's
round and round about this.
Well,
so
that's ridiculous.
that's what
Why?
she
Can I
said.
say something?
Sure.
Like I said, I was a block mason, so I got concrete all over my clothes. I've had 3 washers on my back porch for months because they're broke.
Okay, she puts 12 loads of clothes in a 6-load washer and
What does that have
expects
to do with
it.
it?
Listen to me. What date was the washing machine purchased?
I have no idea. I didn't go and buy it. All I did was come home and there was a brand new washer in my. But I wanted to go buy a $100 washing machine from the appliance store that didn't cost no $600. I don't need no computerized washing machine to wash clothes.
You don't wash clothes. She washed the clothes.
No, I wash the clothes. I've been doing her laundry ever since I've had the washer. I bring her clothes to my house, her and her son's and my son's clothes. I wash them, dry them, fold them, and bring them back to her.
What a great service.
Yes, that's what I think.
I don't know, Miss Johnson. I wouldn't ask for the washing machine back.
Right. That's what I'm thinking.
Shh. Yeah, he
I
sounds
wouldn't
like
ask
a really
for the
great
washing
guy.
machine back. That's a great gig.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Melanie Johnson says ex-boyfriend Tony Wendling owes for the return of property and for unpaid credit card bills. Tony says Melanie damaged his car and shrunk the slipcovers to his couch.
Okay. How am I supposed to know what your mother paid for the washing machine?
I don't know. Like I said,
Well, I don't know. If you don't know, I don't know. How am I supposed to know that?
I don't have anything, so.
Well, where did you buy it from?
At the Home Depot.
Where did you think you were coming to today? You come to a court, you say, listen, you go to Home Depot and you say, I lost my receipt. I bought this washing machine here a few months ago. Could you please either give me a duplicate bill or something to show what the washing machine cost?
Well, I don't have a car, and he won't let me drive his car anymore after the incident.
Well, I know. She wrecks them.
So you don't know how much the washing machine was?
Yes, it was $300, around $300, a little bit more of a tax. You can call my mom and ask her.
I'm not calling your mother. When you come to court, you're supposed to prepare your case. You say that he put things on your credit card. Where are the bills for that?
I don't have that either.
What do you have?
I have pictures of some of the stuff he has.
I don't want to see pictures. I'm asking for two main things. I need a bill for the washing machine, and I need a copy of your credit card statement because you said he put $600 worth of stuff on your credit card, and you don't have your credit card statement. No, so you have nothing. So your case is dismissed. Now let's get to your counterclaim. I think that she drove... Put your hand down.
Sorry.
Put your hand down. I find that she drove your car. She drove your car without your permission, and she damaged it. And they want $1,930 to fix it. $230 of that is to take out the dent in the... You said she kicked your car.
Yeah,
well, initially...
boost I got.
Speak not. Initially, you said to me, I'm not interested in kicking. I'm just interested in what she did to the bumper. So I have deducted $230, leaving $1,700, which I am awarding you, sir, on your counterclaim. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, he was portrayed as a really nice guy, and really he's not a nice guy at all.
Everybody has opinions.
He tries to make himself to be like this great person, and he's really
I
not.
do her laundry every day.
As far as him taking my laundry and doing it, he doesn't do that. He just tried, and everybody was like clapping. That is such a lie. He doesn't do that.
Fold it and bring it to her. It's like, you know, what more could you want?
There's a lot of bitterness and anger, and I think that's what it's over.
Stuff happens to everybody. I mean, yeah, you get angry.
I probably need to move like out here and let him stay back in Indiana so we can be like really far apart.
Don't let girlfriends drive your cars.
Don't get involved with men that are 10 years older than you.
Medical biller Melanie Howenstein is suing her stepdaughter, 24-year-old retail clerk Christina Howenstein, for assaulting her with a pitcher of beer.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 425 on the calendar in the matter of Howenstein versus Howenstein. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks have seats.
Ms. Howenstein, the defendant is your stepdaughter.
Correct.
Is your husband here today?
Yes, he is.
How long have you been married?
April 2002.
According to your claim, your stepdaughter assaulted you in a bar.
Right.
She said that she was merely defending herself and you hit her first. Is that right?
No, she hit me first, and then I spilled beer on her first, and then she hit
She
me.
hit you first?
Yeah.
You were retaliating?
Yeah.
How long did you know her father before you married?
About 3 years.
Did you get along with the daughter?
She's the one that introduced us.
Really?
Yes.
Well, at what point did the friendship with her become a negative?
Probably right after we got married. She realized that money was going to stop, that Dad was going to stop bailing her out, and that was my fault. So shortly after we were married.
When was this alleged assault?
October 26th.
Tell me about it.
I had gone to a bar in another town with my friend Glee. We got there about 9 o'clock. Approximately 9:30, the defendant and a girlfriend walked in. All night long, they proceeded to flip me off and very immature and childish. About 11:30, I told my friend she had a cell phone. I said, go call my husband, tell him I'm ready to go home. She comes back from the restroom. She said, he'll be here in about a half an hour. About 20 minutes later, the DJ announces that they're starting the big contest. We had no idea what it was even involving. By this time, people are standing. I can't see anything. My friend Glee stands up. They start the contest. She comes down and she said, "Oh my gosh." And I said, "What?" She said, "Your stepdaughter was just on the dance floor, totally naked." And I said, "Excuse me?" By this time, I feel a tap on my shoulder and my husband's standing there. He asked me what was going on. I said, "I don't know, I didn't see, but Glee just told me that Christina was naked on the dance floor." Well, the contest proceeds.
What kind of contest was it?
It was a
temporary tattoo contest.
Go ahead.
So she comes back. She won the contest for a T-shirt. Looks over her shoulder, sees her dad standing there. She looks at her friend. She starts to giggle, and she says, "Oh, my dad's here." So she comes running over to talk to him, and he put his hands up like this. And she's, "Dad, Dad," and he put his hands up like this, and he said, "You know, Christina, you made me really proud tonight." And she snapped. She lost it. She was screaming at him, F you, I hate you, you're worthless." And then she went through everybody that was with us, and F you, and F you, and F you. And I stood up. I put my coat on. I said, "You've drawn enough attention to yourself. I'm taking my husband. We're leaving." I went to take a drink of my beer. She smashed my hand. The beer went all over me, the floor, everyone. I went to throw my beer back at her. The glass fell off the front of my hand. She claims it hit her in the chin. Turned around to walk out, picked up half a pitcher of beer and slammed it, hit me right here in the head, and we left.
Do you have any medical records?
I do.
Let's see them, please.
Yeah, pictures, ma'am.
I do.
What kind of work do you do?
I work at Best Buy. I'm a laborer, and I work part-time as a bartender.
How old are you?
24.
Who do you live with?
Myself.
What time did you get to the bar on the evening of the 26th of October?
It was probably after 10.
Did you come there directly that evening from home?
I stopped up at the bar that I worked at and met Jack up there, and then we went out there.
Was there a contest that night at the bar?
Yes, there was.
Was it a contest where you had any part of your clothes off? The answer is either yes or no. It's very easy to find out. All I have to do is call the bar. The answer is yes or no.
Yes, I had my clothes off.
Would it be a fair statement that in order to get what appears to be, you know, a reasonably intelligent young woman on bar dance floor, have her take her clothes off, she would have to be a little bit drunk?
Yes, I was.
That would be a fair statement?
Yes, I was.
Had you ever done that before?
No.
Would it be a fair statement that when you saw your father there, that you were a little embarrassed?
No, I didn't even know he was there.
After, I said when you saw your father there.
No, I wasn't embarrassed.
Not at all?
No.
Then you would have had to have been really drunk.
No, because it has nothing to do with him. It's me, not him. So I'm not embarrassed by it. I did what I did. I can't take it back.
But you wouldn't have done it if you weren't drunk?
Probably not.
Your stepmother was injured as a result of you hitting her on the back of the head with a pitcher. And it's clear to me that you started it.
Somewhat, yes.
Because even according to you, you spilled beer on her by tapping her glass.
I didn't tap her glass. I picked someone's beer up off the bar and threw it on her. I wasn't.
Oh, okay.
There was
even worse.
But
even worse.
It was just the beer. I didn't throw the glass at her.
Even worse. Okay, what it is. You started it. And according to these photographs and the medical records, you finished it. And if you can't control your liquor, don't drink. Period. Because if you think that most normal people would say that a 24-year-old intelligent young lady who is self-supporting, works 2 jobs, lives by herself, whether that it's reasonable and normal behavior for her to get up in front of a whole bunch of strangers and take her clothes off is normal behavior. I'm telling you it is not. Not normal behavior, is it?
Not in my book.
Not in mine either.
Coming up on Judge Judy.
She accused my dad of sleeping with my best friend, and I said something to her about it. She dragged me outside with her and my dad and told me that my dad called me a worthless, good-for-nothing person. That's why they wouldn't have another kid.
And later today.
You started sending her letters that you wanted your money. She said, "You're not my lawyer."
She recognized me as her lawyer. And
did you recognize him as your lawyer?
I never spoke with him.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Melanie Howenstein says stepdaughter Christina Howenstein assaulted her in the middle of a nightclub. Melanie says Christina was so drunk she got naked on stage.
What kind of problem do you have with her?
I've really never had a problem with her. We got along fine. Then we've been having a shaky relationship for 3 years since they've known each other.
Why?
I don't have any idea. I have no clue whatsoever. We got along for 10 months. I was happy that they got married. I don't care that they're married. That's their life. I have nothing to do with it. I don't want them divorced. My father said they were going to get divorced because of this whole situation, and I told him not to because I don't live there. It has nothing to do with me.
Good. Perfect.
No problems, but I don't know. This whole thing has been building up and building up. Like her birthday, she accused my dad of sleeping with my best friend, and I said something to her about it because she does it all the time. And I guess that irritated her because she dragged me outside with her and my dad and told me that my dad called me a worthless, good-for-nothing person. That's why they want to have another kid. So
that's why they what?
They want to have a kid together. So that's why they want to have another kid, is to make up for me being a bad seed. So.
Well, that's a ridiculous statement. Listen, try to get along with each other. Life is very short. If you're not best friends with your stepmother, be cordial with your stepmother. Where is your biological mother?
Not in the picture.
Not for a long time. Yeah, so you have no contact with her?
I see her probably 3 times a year, if that.
Okay, you had more of a relationship with your father?
Yes.
Well, don't throw that away. In any event, you're responsible for these medical bills that she had to pay because you started this argument physically. You ended it physically. She was injured. The medical records are clear. You owe $941. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It was just a temporary tattoo contest. Just no big deal. Just me out having fun doing what I like to do.
There was problems long before I was involved, and she needs someone to blame it on, and I guess I'm the easy target.
My father and I do not talk anymore.
Even if I'm not involved, I think he needs to have a relationship with his daughter.
I want nothing to do with her. I'm not going to talk to him because it'll get back to her about me saying stuff, and it's all going to get twisted around like it has been in the past, so I'm not even going to bother.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Mason versus DeRose. Step forward, please.
17-year-old pharmacy technician Mark Mason is suing former schoolmate, 18-year-old Michael DeRose, for selling him phony tickets to an Aerosmith concert.
Mr. Mason, it is your claim that the defendant sold you some tickets. They were concert tickets, but they were tickets that permitted you to go backstage.
That's correct, Your Honor.
And you paid how much for those tickets?
The total ticket cost for 4 tickets was $220.
And according to you, Mr. Mason, when you got to the concert, you couldn't go backstage with those tickets. Somebody told you that they were bogus. Is that
Yes,
right?
That's correct.
Mr. DeRose says he never sold you real backstage tickets. They were laminated memorabilia tickets.
Novelties, yes.
Novelties. And he told you that.
Yes, and they were not tickets, Your Honor.
They were just backstage passes?
They were laminated passes, yes.
So these passes that he sold you did not enable you to go into the concert. Is that right?
Well, when we talked to Michael about it, he informed us that, first of all, he did tell us that they were real tickets.
Just a second.
Sure.
Would you answer my question?
I'm sorry.
Were these just to permit you to go backstage, or did they permit you to get into the concert as well?
They were all access passes, so you're allowed to go anywhere on the grounds, including into the concert.
Okay. For 4 people, $220?
Yes.
Now, what concert was this?
It was an Aerosmith concert that was to take place at the Connecticut Meadow Centers in Hartford on September 5th.
And how did you know the defendant?
I went to school with him last year. I had a couple classes with him. And
how did you know he was selling these tickets?
He had sold them previously to people, and it was just sort of known that he said he had a connection at the Meadows Theater, and he could get backstage passes to concerts.
Do you have those tickets with you?
No, when we got to the concert grounds, all 4 tickets were confiscated at the gate.
Did you get to see the concert at all?
No, we were escorted off the grounds.
Now, if $220 in cash?
Yes.
You don't deny that you got $220 in cash?
Oh, yes, I do deny that. I actually
How
have
much did you
receipts
get?
here, if you'd like to.
How much did you get?
I got around $40 at the most. They were $5 each ticket without the name on it, and $7 with, plus the shipping and handling.
Let me hear you, sir.
When we originally approached him, he said that the tickets were $50 each without names on them and $60 each with names, and he did not charge us shipping and handling.
You got them from him directly, hand to hand?
Yes, that's correct. He delivered them to my place of employment, which is a pharmacy that I work at with Lisa over there.
Mr. DeRose, I believe him. So let's move on from there.
Your Honor,
Okay? I believe him.
I have documents here.
Oh, let me see.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong. Let me see what documents you have, sir.
Marcus and I were both in Cisco Laboratories, and
Just a minute.
okay. The top copy is the receipts that I paid for through PayPal.
Just a minute.
Okay.
I wish I understood this PayPal. Can you explain it to me, Bird?
PayPal is basically it's just an online ordering system. You drop money in your bank account or credit card, and it goes directly right through there to the person's email, and it gets dropped into their bank account right away. So it's instantaneous.
What he said.
There you go.
What he said. Whatever happened to Whatever happened to you have a checkbook in a little...
Your Honor, that takes time. This is instantaneous. Sorry.
Happened to those checkbooks? You know, you write a check and then you write something on top and you say check number 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's basically an online
Right.
check. Sorry.
We're talking here.
I don't want to interrupt.
Is that what you use? Those checks thing?
Yeah, I still use checks for the
Yeah,
most
I
part.
still use checks. Would you show this to Mr. Mason, please? Because I don't understand it, but maybe he does. And I want you to take a look at that, Mr. Mason.
All
That's
that
a
is
thing.
the-
Shh.
Sorry, Your Honor.
That's a thing from PayPal. What do you have to say about that?
All that is the way.
I didn't.
Okay.
I am actually not involved in PayPal, so I couldn't tell you what this is. I mean, he may have gotten the tickets through this, but...
But that's not your. You didn't
is
have
not
anything to
my
do with
receipt,
that.
No.
That's not your receipt.
No.
You don't know anything about that.
Nope.
You don't use PayPal.
No.
Your Honor, that's how I purchased the tickets.
I don't care how you purchased the tickets. Who
Well,
cares about how you purchased the
That's
tickets?
how he got them.
What difference does it make how you purchased the tickets? No, the prices are on there what you paid for the tickets.
Yes.
Not what you charged him for the tickets.
Well, also you have the eBay listing for the passes.
What difference does that make?
On there it says these items are novelties. And
What?
Mark,
Let me ask you, what difference does that make?
Your Honor, as I was stating before, Marcus and I were in the same classroom, and we're always on the computer playing video games.
Oh, get lost. Listen to me. He says he paid $220 for the tickets, and I believe him. I still believe him after you show me this stuff, that he paid $220 for the tickets. They were 4 tickets. He was supposed to go to a concert. He got to the concert. They confiscated his 4 tickets because they said they were bogus.
No, they were passes. They were not tickets. That was clearly stated, and everyone that Marcus talked to that actually got into backstage concerts with them knew that they needed tickets.
I don't care what anybody else knows.
He never
Old
had
Marcus
tickets.
over here, maybe he's not as smart as all your other friends. When he pays
Mark's very
$220
smart, actually.
for 4 tickets, he thinks that he's going to at least get to hear a song. Right? And he got to hear nothing.
Your Honor,
Judgment
he
for the
never-
plaintiff
he
in the
never
amount of
purchased
$220. Goodbye.
Parties are
Yeah,
excused.
goodbye.
You may step out.
Numerous times we asked the defendant if the tickets were real and if we would be allowed into the concert grounds, and he did tell us numerous times that indeed we would.
For $60, that's a little low.
He may have purchased them through eBay or PayPal, but he told us that he had a connection at the Meadows that was getting the tickets for us.
If Marcus actually had tickets, like he originally stated, maybe it could have been a whole different situation.
Model Sherry Eckert is suing her ex-boyfriend, guitar player Mark Zavon, for unpaid loans and rent. Mark is countersuing, claiming Sherry sabotaged his career.
Order. All rise. Bless you. Your Honor, this is case number 380 on the calendar in the matter of Eckert versus Zavon. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Eckert, you and the defendant lived together for a period of time. You claim that you loaned him some money during that time, and he owes you a month's rent because when he left, he didn't give you notice, and pursuant to your agreement, he should have given you a month's notice. Mr. Zavon says that he did borrow some money from you, not as much as you are claiming, and he would have paid you back, except that because of your actions, he lost his job, he had no way to pay you back, and that you kept some of his personal property, and he has a counterclaim. When did you live together? From when to when?
April 18th, 2001 to November 2nd, 2001.
Now, what were these loans for?
Actually, he was behind on some bills, and he had asked me to pay them for him, and I agreed as long as he signed something saying that he would pay me back, which he did.
Let me see what he signed.
I'd like to see that as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. It seems as though it's been changed.
It has been changed to less than it was.
Okay.
If you look very carefully, it's been changed to, I looked at that myself. It's been changed to a lesser amount.
Those
not
aren't
a
my
great.
initials, by the way.
That's your signature, however. I've
That
compared
is
it
my
with the signature on the answer. That is your signature.
It is.
So now you remember signing that agreement.
I did,
Good. Now may I have it, please?
but not for that amount.
No, not true, sir. Because the original amount on this was some $1,500 and some odd dollars, and that was changed because the Sprint bill was not $200 and some odd dollars, but only $115. So it was reduced. You see that? It was reduced, not increased.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. You signed it. How much of this did you pay?
At the time, I wasn't able
Not
to
at
pay.
the time. At any time. How much of this did you pay?
$400.
Okay. Is that how much you paid back?
He paid back $350.
All right, he said 400. You have proof of 400?
Yes, I do. I have canceled checks. I also paid in money orders, and I don't have the receipts for those.
Okay.
But I'll be honest and say he did pay me $350, even though he doesn't have the proof of that.
Okay. $1,130. That's what's left.
Correct.
On the debt.
Mm-hmm.
And you're suing him for $2,028. Explain that to me.
Actually, on the lease agreement he signed, it says that he must give me a 30-day, 1-month notice prior to moving out. And when
Did you have a roommate before he moved in?
His friend actually moved in at the same time, and they both had the same agreement.
I asked you a question. I want you to give me the answer. Did you have a roommate before he moved in?
We all moved in at the exact same time, basically.
Are you still living in the same place?
Yes, I am.
With whom?
I have roommates now.
Okay. Now, you left, sir, November 2nd,
Yes, that's correct.
2001. Does your lease agreement provide that you give her 30 days' notice?
Yes, it does.
Did you?
No, I did not.
Why?
Because she caused me to lose my job and sabotaged my career.
Okay, now let me hear your reason why she caused you to lose your job.
Okay. At the time, I had a job, a regular job, as a guitar player in a successful rock band. We were touring, and we were on the East Coast, and I borrowed the money from her because our singer had an accident and broke a rib. I didn't have any money to pay the bill at the time, and so she offered to pay it, and I accepted. She said that I could pay her back when I had the money. However, over the next few months, she became very jealous, and it started getting really out of hand. She started calling me nonstop. She started going through my mail. She started going down my phone bill and calling every number on the phone bill. As a matter of fact, I have a phone bill here where her notes are evident, where she was looking for whether it would be a man or a woman answering the phone, and whether or not she would approve.
I still don't understand how she caused you to lose your job.
She was very jealous, and so when I was out on the road touring with a rock band, there are inherently situations that arise where women can get crazy, and she was aware of this, and she became very jealous, and she wanted me to come back to Los Angeles really bad. So what she did was she started to call the singer's wife.
Did you call the singer's wife?
She's a close friend of mine.
What kind of conversation did you have with her?
I asked her if she had heard from her husband because Mark hadn't called me in a week, and he was my boyfriend at the time, and I was very concerned and worried because I had just gone through his pants pocket and found a phone number from a girl, which I called, who is a dancer, a stripper in New Orleans. And I spoke to her on the phone, and she did confirm, that she had been talking to Mark, and she actually forwarded me the emails that Mark had sent her. So it did actually confirm that he was
Okay, so what did
cheating
you
on
call this woman for?
me. She's just my friend. I just wanted to know if she had heard from them. I was trying to call him and contact him because we were in a relationship. So if I hadn't heard from him in 3 days, I was very upset. I was seeing, I was under stress, and I was seeing, I had lost some of my hair because of stress. I mean, it was just very, very bad. But he actually, after I found out,
how did that cause you to lose your job?
She told her so many stories that she finally, the singer's wife that is, finally started to call the singer and tell him that she was filing for divorce, she was going to take their daughter, and that he would never see them again. And in order to keep the peace in his family, he had to let me go.
That's
I would have
true.
done the
I know
same
that's
thing.
true, sir. That's a lot of bubble-icers.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
Did you borrow her pants? Don't tell me I don't want to hear
Yes, I borrowed
All right, now, when did your cousin borrow them?
Yeah.
Oh, God, give me strength.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sherry Eckert says ex-boyfriend Mark Zavon owes for rent and for unpaid loans. Mark says Sherry is holding his belongings.
All right. You all moved into this apartment together? Is
That's
that
correct.
right? And each of you were to pay $500 a month?
That's correct.
Each?
Yes.
Okay. So he owes you $1,630. He didn't give you a month's notice. That's so far. You have a counterclaim, sir? For $5,000, he claimed that she caused you to lose your job.
That's correct.
That would be the reason that you just gave me, that you called the singer's wife and complained and told her a whole bunch of stories. Which,
Yeah, he was very happy. Excuse me.
That the singer is not here, the wife is not here.
That is correct.
Okay, so that's all hearsay. That's somewhere out here that I don't hear. All right, now the next thing that you're counterclaiming for is personal property that you say that she sold at a garage sale. What's the nature of the personal property?
Well, it's basically things like a mountain bike, camping gear, grill.
Why didn't you take that with you when you moved out?
At the time, I had just flown back from Battle Creek, Michigan. They dropped me off in the middle of nowhere, So I had to find my way back to Los Angeles, and I had a U-Haul. I went to get my stuff.
So you got a U-Haul?
Yes, I did. And I started to load my stuff into the truck, at which point Sherry came home, and she started to throw my stuff out into the driveway and damage my stuff, and I was just trying to get out of there as fast as possible. I just wanted to be gone.
Yeah.
And so I did my best to get everything I could,
Yeah.
but I was unable to get everything.
That was in November of 2001. Is that right?
And I've tried to get my stuff back since then.
Well, what have you done?
I asked her if she would give me my stuff back, and she said that she would if I paid her the money that I owed her. So I began paying her some money in order to get my stuff back. But I never received one thing. She would say that she would give me the stuff back, and then she would change her mind. And I never did get one thing back.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, actually, the camping gear he's talking about is a sleeping bag, which I purchased. Here's the receipt.
And you purchased it for whom?
For when we were going to go on a camping trip, but it was been returned. It got returned within the same week.
It was a gift.
So when he's talking about camping gear, it's something I own. The things that he's talking about are my things. He got
Like what?
everything out of there.
Just a
he was
second.
talking
Let me see your list. Let me see your list.
The bike, I don't even know what he's talking about. He never left a bike or any property there. There's nothing there.
Mountain bike, space heater?
I never saw it. I don't know what he's talking about.
Weight bench?
That's actually Todd's, his friend's weight bench. It's not his.
What about the incline bench?
That's also Todd's. That's not Mark's.
I don't know what she's talking about. This is all my property.
Well, then, I feel like he had a U-Haul that was a huge truck, and before I got home, he had the whole thing packed. So I don't know why he didn't just take anything that he felt was left behind.
I don't know either. And I don't know why. And I don't know why he waited for a year to come after all this stuff. Anyway, in any event, you didn't pay any rent. Is that right?
I paid rent right up until the time that I was
No, you didn't pay any rent after you moved out, did you?
No, I did
Right,
not.
then you should have come to get all this stuff.
I tried to, but she wouldn't let me come over, and I didn't want to come over if it...
Then what you do is you go to court.
That's
do you understand?
true. Yes,
what you do is you sue. What do you expect her to do? Hold on to all this stuff for a year?
I tried to get it back continuously.
Then what you tried by going to court, just like you did now.
I understand.
And you do so promptly. Yes, ma'am. It's easy. It's easy for her. She's got an IOU. IOU makes it easy. A lease makes it easy. But you don't leave a whole bunch of stuff if this is your property for a year and then say, oh, by the by, I want my property back. So you forget about that. You owe her $1,630. Isn't that what I said? $1,630?
$1,630.
Pay the money. Goodbye.
Please excuse. You may step out.
It was a jealous nightmare.
His unfaithfulness and his cheating and his liaisons with groupies on the tour bus actually was the breaking point of the relationship.
She really didn't like the whole idea of someone being out on the road.
He couldn't stay faithful.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of AG versus Horry. Step forward, please.
Rebecca Agee and her fiancé James Crane are suing their former friends Scott Horry and his wife Sarah for moving expenses and the value of personal property. The Horrys are countersuing for lost wages and emotional distress.
Mr. and Mrs. Agee, you and the defendants had been good friends. According to you, you were living in Oregon. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And both couples decided that they would be better off in their lives if they relocated to Iowa. Now, who came from Iowa?
We did, Your Honor.
So you agreed to sort of split the costs of moving and travel together. And once you got to Iowa, Mr. and Mrs. Horry were going to help you find a job. I don't know whether you were going to live together, but hopefully you would both live happily ever after in Iowa.
Okay.
Well, it didn't work out that way. And according to you, things turned sour on the trip. You claimed that the Horrys owe you for expenses, property that they kept, mental anguish, and you also want them to pay for your trip back from Iowa to Oregon because it didn't work out. They say that they thought everything went along just fine. They have a counterclaim because they say that you aggravated them.
Breathe.
Breathe. All right. Let me hear it succinctly.
We thought that they were really good friends of ours when we met them. We moved into 10 Mile, Oregon, and they were our neighbors, and we invited them over many times for everything.
Let's cut to the chase. You decided to move to Iowa with them.
We moved to Iowa with them. When we got to their home in Iowa, they were rude to us. They put us in a small room with 2 cat boxes. I also have he's almost 8 months old now, my son. When we got there, we had no money. They were supposed to pay us for half of the U-Haul.
Which was how much?
$117.50. And they said that we owed them money instead.
What did they owe you money for?
We paid for everything, including the trailer. We agreed upon that we would also give them a place to stay, give them a job, and we did all of that. Above and beyond, when they had reached Colorado, when they ran out of money, I had gone...
They ran out of money in Colorado?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor. His parents helped them out to get gas, and they came up to Wyoming
and
finally
met us where
and
we were
met us
supposed
there.
to meet.
Did you need to borrow some money from his parents? That's easy to find out, so just answer my question.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
And how much money did you take from his parents?
Somewhere around $30.
You mean the two of you were traveling with a new baby with absolutely no money? Now, wouldn't it have been more prudent to stay in Oregon and save a little more money? Save $500, $1,000. Save it up so that you're not driving around with an 8-month-old baby with no money.
We had the money, ma'am. We ended up paying for the U-Haul. Mr. Hari paid for the deposit on the U-Haul.
Are you saying $117? Is that what
No.
you're talking?
That's
How
half
much?
of it.
That's half of it. The full amount was 230 something, I believe.
Yes.
We would have had the full amount if they would have given us the money when we got there to make it all the way.
You're just not following me.
I'm sorry.
That's a big trip to make.
Yes, it
I mean,
is.
unless things are so terrible in Oregon that you weren't surviving there.
We were hoping for a brand new start, something new. They guaranteed him a job when
You
we got
can't
there.
guarantee anything. No, you don't rely on anybody for anything.
Yeah, we've learned that in the past
Well, you
couple
don't.
months.
All right. His parents gave you $30 for gas. Did you ever pay him back?
No.
We haven't made it that far
Okay.
yet.
What's next?
When they reached Cheyenne, Wyoming, I went up to Becky, knowing they had no money left, and said, would you rather me pay for the rest of your gas to get to Iowa since you have no more money left? And that was the new agreement.
Okay, and you had no money for, just a second, and you had no money for gas.
Right.
So how much did you pay for gas for their car?
Approximately around $200. And we also were paying for food, which was a new agreement, so we had no problem with that.
And we
What
are
was the
not
new-
suing for that.
Okay, so it's clear to me you had no money.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because you had to borrow $30 from his parents. And how many days were you on the road after you borrowed $30 from his parents?
Less than a day.
Less than a day.
And then you got to the house?
No, we met in Cheyenne and we
Okay.
drove.
How many days was it that
were
you
on the
lived
road.
in the house?
We were there for a little
Day
over
and a half.
24 hours.
How much did you spend in gas? I'm trying to figure out if we've used up this $117.
We have receipts, Your Honor.
I'm asking you.
From what point, Your Honor? I don't understand.
From the point you ran out of money.
We ran out of money in Longmont to
How did you
Iowa.
eat? Who fed you?
We stopped for food once with them. And
What
that
about
was
when
it.
you got to the house? You said they put you
They
in a
had
room.
no food at
They
the
had-
house.
Yeah.
They had no electricity. We had to clean out the refrigerator.
Just a second. So how did you eat that day?
We didn't.
We went and bought them Pizza Hut.
Yes, we
We
had
bought
Pizza Hut.
them a whole bunch of food. The very next day, we also went out and bought them a big barbecue to have food, and we provided their baby with formula.
Does any of that sound right? You had no money.
No, ma'am.
How did your baby eat?
I had formula for him when I
Listen,
left
I'm not
Oregon.
bothering with this.
We-
They're not paying for your trip home. They're not paying for any of the moving expenses from Oregon to Iowa. They've already taken care of that. Now, you want to tell me, what about the value of personal property you say they kept? What personal property did they keep?
They pawned our television set and
TV. What happened to their television set?
Yes, we did pawn it because she gave us every permission to sell all their stuff when they left, because they left and they had no intentions to come back, and she made sure that I
Yes,
kept
we
her
did, Your
green
Honor.
tub. She had a green tub full of personal belongings, like pictures, birthday cards, and stuff like that, that she had said meant so much to her. So I promised her and I swore to her we would not get rid of that stuff.
And for 2 days straight, it was, what do we do with your belongings?
That's
the
not
first
true, Your
night,
Honor.
it was,
he asked me
I don't,
how long we should keep it.
The first night, I understand everything was in an outrage. She had said, I don't care what you do with my stuff, just don't get rid of my big green bucket.
Now, how much did you sell the TV for?
Somewhere around $80-some is what we got for it at the pawn shop.
Okay. Now, let me hear your counterclaim.
We're suing because, or countersuing because James had made threats to us, to our vehicles, and
That's
to
not
our
true, Your Honor.
home
I don't want to
when
hear you.
everything
I'm
turned
speaking.
violent, and he was starting to push his way around, and we had to have him escorted off the property twice.
Your Honor.
Our neighbors,
When was that?
It had to have been in August. I'd say around the 25th.
And you haven't seen him since?
No, we
Your
haven't.
Honor.
Shh, speak now. And you haven't had any contact with him in many months, is that right?
Nope, not except for
What
the,
else?
And loss of wages is all we're suing
What loss
for.
of wages for what?
We think it is a waste to be here.
You should have said no. What, no isn't part of your vocabulary?
No.
There you go. Somebody calls you and says, would you like to have your dispute resolved before Judge Judy Scheindlin? And you say, no, I'm sorry, I don't want to miss work. There you go.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So you get nothing.
Ma'am.
Dippo.
That's cool.
Good. Cool. You get $80 for your TV. And go. Have a happy life. Goodbye.
Party's not excused. You may step out.
Everybody was all stressed out.
It didn't work out.
They don't respect other people's belongings.
I feel that I've been disrespected.
They don't respect other people.
I wish we could have mended the friendship.
They care only about themselves.
I do believe in my heart that we're both good people.
Homemaker Shelley Schmitz is suing Secretary Janelle Arneson for the cost of glasses, a CD, and pain and suffering. Shelley claims Janelle's child, 12-year-old Chelsea Mora, assaulted her daughter, 12-year-old Kayla.
Order. Come to order. All rise. Now, this is case number 320 on the calendar in the matter of Schmitz versus Arneson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Young ladies, have seats, please.
No, I think, Bird, we're going to have the two young ladies up and the mothers sitting down because the mothers really weren't involved in this. So I really have to speak to the girls. So why don't you two sit down? Tell me your first name.
Kayla.
And your first name?
Chelsea.
All right, let me just briefly summarize what this case is about. You two young ladies used to be good friends, is that right?
Yes.
And Kayla, you say that you lent a CD to Chelsea. She returned the CD scratched. And when your mother tried to get her mother to pay for the CD, there was all kinds of bad talking back and forth. And then you say Chelsea hit you, beat you up, broke your glasses, and your mother is suing Chelsea's mother to pay for the CD, pay for the glasses, and for a little bit of pain and suffering because you were really frightened. And Chelsea says that she was just defending herself, that she didn't start up with you really started up with her. That's what I gather from the papers, although girls didn't write out this complaint and answer. They were written by your mothers, who really weren't there, who were only getting the stories from you. So since I am the truth machine, I will decide, and I will ask the questions, because you know I will ask much more piercing questions than your parents asked you. Feet together. All right, Kayla. When did you lend the CD to Chelsea?
September something, the beginning of September.
Sometime in September. And when it was returned to you, it was damaged so that you couldn't listen to it?
Yes.
So what did you do?
My mom asked me if I wanted to call Chelsea, and I had said yes. I called her, and Chelsea answered. She started getting in an argument because I had asked her if she would either replace it or pay me back so I could buy a new one.
Okay. You remember that conversation, Chelsea?
Yes.
Well, tell me about it.
She said, will you replace the CD because it was scratched in the glasses?
And you said what?
I said no, because I didn't scratch it.
Well, who scratched it?
Hey, my friend.
Your friend who?
Haley.
Where was the CD when it was scratched? In your house?
No.
Where was it?
Haley's house.
So then you lent the CD to Haley?
Yes.
With Kaylee's permission.
Just a second. Tell me about how you came to lend the CD to Haley.
I went over to Haley's house, and she liked the CD. She said, can I borrow it? And I said, I have to ask Kaylee. And then when Kaylee was there, she said yes, and then I handed it over to Haley.
Did she ever ask you if she could lend the CD to Haley?
No, ma'am.
No, she didn't. I don't believe that story that you just told me. See, that's number one. You only get a chance to lie once to me. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. So, you had the CD, it was in your custody, it was damaged because either you damaged it or you lent it to somebody else, they damaged it, it's your responsibility, you take care of it, you buy her a new CD. Now let me hear about the assault and the glasses.
Well, we were at our volleyball game, and Chelsea started by hitting and kicking the volleyballs out of my hand, and she would call me the B word, and I'd go to my bus stop, and I'd go to get on the bus, and Chelsea would have all her friends come up to say that Chelsea was going to punk me, and I didn't know what punk meant.
Okay, just a second. So she's been bothering you. I want you to tell me what happened the day your glasses got broken.
Okay. We got off the bus. Chelsea started walking.
You were on the bus together?
Yes, we got off the bus. Chelsea's bus stop is still a block ahead of mine. We got off the bus, and Chelsea started following me. I got to the end of the crosswalk, and Chelsea pushed me down to the ground. I got up, I started running to my friend Lynn's house on the corner. She wasn't home, so I went to go get out of the doorway, and Chelsea punched me in my stomach. I fall to the floor, and I got up. That's when I start running, and Chelsea punched me again because I turned around to the side, and she punched me in my side. That's when I was to the end of the driveway, and gravel came up and hit me in my face, and I had scratches all over my lenses, and my lens was all bent.
All right, now, Chelsea, I want you to tell me your version of those events. You were on the bus together.
Yeah, we was on the bus together. We got off.
Look at me.
We got off at the same street together.
Now, is that the street you always get off at?
Yes.
Is that where your house is?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
And I wasn't following her, actually. I was going over to Tanisha's house, and I did not punch her in the stomach.
Just tell me what you did do, not what you didn't do. And look at me.
When we went into this house, I pushed her.
Why did you push her?
Because she kept on saying, you're going to replace the CD and replace the glasses and stuff.
No, you hadn't touched her glasses yet. Her glasses weren't hurt yet. You're following her, and you said you pushed her.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you again, why did you push her?
Because she kept on saying, you're going to replace the CD and stuff.
So she's saying to you, you're going to replace the CD. So you pushed her. And what happened when you pushed her?
she pushed me back, and then we kept on pushing each other, and then she fell on this couch. And
how did she fall on a couch?
Because she knocked on this lady's door, and
she knocked on a lady's door.
Yes.
Now, in order to get to this lady's door, Chelsea, did she have to walk up a driveway?
No.
Did she have to walk up a porch?
Yes.
Had you ever been in that house before?
No.
Did you know who lived there?
No.
So she went up and knocked on the lady's door. Go ahead. What did you do?
She told me to come in there, so I went in there.
Who told you to come in?
Kayla.
Did that happen?
No, ma'am.
Of course not. Of course it didn't happen.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Unless you take control of this not fully cooked 12-year-old, you are going to suffer, but so is she. And when you say to me, I believe my daughter, I say, you are hopeless.
And later today,
Your answer is so ludicrous that I wondered whether you told your parents you were coming today, whether they tried to discourage you. This is the youth of America. I want you to listen to this. This is not going to take long.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 12-year-old Kayla Schmitz says former friend, 12-year-old Chelsea Mora, assaulted her, breaking her glasses. Chelsea says Kayla started it.
You push her. She pushes you. She falls down. Then she goes into some person's house to get away from you. You follow her. Now let's hear the rest.
No, she told the old lady that lived there that she was going to call her mom. She wanted me to come in there to talk to her mom. So I went in there, and she pushed me, and I pushed her back, and she fell on the couch.
Oh, go ahead.
Chelsea had came in the house because I don't know why, but I went to go call my mom, and Chelsea came in.
Did you know the lady whose house that was?
No, I didn't. I just started knocking on people's doors because I didn't want to get hit no more, but I went into this lady's house. She had let me in. I went to go pick up the phone. She had Chelsea and April coming in her front door. They were coming in.
You mean she was with somebody else?
Yes, April. Miss Jackson, that was the lady's name. Miss Jackson had April and Chelsea come in. Chelsea pushed me. I hung up the phone. I pushed her back. Chelsea pushed me. I fell into the corner of
Where
Miss
was
Jackson's
April during all this time?
Just watching her.
You didn't tell me about April.
April got off the bus stop with me.
Mm-hmm. You're going to have your hands full with her. Do you understand? I've been in this business a very long time. And if she managed to put this over on you so that you actually believe this story that she's telling, then you are creating more of a monster than she already is. We understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Let me see the glasses, please. How much was the CD?
About $20.
Mm-hmm. How much is it going to cost you to replace the glasses?
I've already replaced them. It
How
was
much were they?
$136.
Are you both still at the same school?
No.
You changed schools?
She did.
Why do you think she changed schools?
Because she moved.
Did it have anything to do with her?
Yes.
No. Did it?
Yes, ma'am.
Now you can step up. You too. When did you move?
October 15th.
Is it because of this incident?
Yes, it was. This continued for a couple of weeks.
You mean after this? After
Yes.
this? Tell me about the continuation. Were you a witness to the continuation of any of it?
Only Kayla coming home every day saying that Chelsea had all of her friends threatening to beat her up, and we called the school counselor. He was unable to get a hold of Chelsea's mom because she was in jail. So.
What were you in jail for?
I wasn't in jail that time, Your Honor.
Where were
However,
you?
I was out of town, and when Kayla decided to spend the night with Chelsea, and I said that they could not spend
Listen
the
to
night.
me. Who was supervising your daughter?
My other daughter.
How old is she?
19.
Your Honor?
And I never let my children spend the night if their parents not going to be there.
Listen to me very carefully. Your daughter is heading down the wrong path.
I believe my daughter, Your Honor.
She's a liar.
I believe my daughter, Your Honor.
She's a liar. She's a bully. A liar and a bully. And if she is being unsupervised at your home, I'm telling you, you're going to visit her one day in jail. I'm telling you that. And I've had a lot more experiences with kids like that than you have. Because I sat in a court where I saw brats like that 200 times a month. 200 times a month. She's pulling the wool over your eyes, madam. She's a bully.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 12-year-old Kayla Schmitz says former friend, 12-year-old Chelsea Mora, assaulted her, breaking her glasses. Chelsea says Kayla started it.
She's a bully and a liar.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I do not believe that.
Well, then it's very unfortunate. Then you're going to have to believe that you are a co-conspirator, and whatever happens to her, you, as a parent, are
Your
going to
Honor,
deserve
this
that.
mother called me 10 times a day. I did not call her at once. And I kept hanging up on her. She kept saying, you will pay, you will pay. I kept hanging
What
up.
has that have to do with what your
She
daughter
harassed
just did?
us.
What does that have to do with what your daughter did? It has nothing to do with that. Maybe she overreacted when she just should have said, listen, she scratched the CD, big deal. That happens. Kids, that happens with kids.
That's exactly what I said to the mother. I
Fine.
said, let
That's
them
what
work
you
it out.
said. They can't work it out unless your daughter has money. She's calling you as a parent and saying, I want you as a mother to do the responsible thing. She had my daughter's CD. She returned it so that it's not usable, and we would like her to replace it. And you said, let the girls work it out.
Exactly.
Wrong. Let me explain something to you. Let me explain something to you, why I look at him, so you'll understand. Bird thinks that I am sometimes too verbally harsh, right? And we had a discussion about that. And I'm going to tell you something. It's not true, because sometimes the only thing that people like you understand is very clear, monosyllabic words like liar, cheat, sometimes two words, bully, jail, juvenile hall. Sometimes maybe that's all you understand. But certainly your daughter caused, because of your lack of supervision of what she was doing, a whole family to uproot themselves, to change schools. We're not talking about just broken glasses and a broken CD. We're talking about her being a mean-spirited bully, and you're sanctioning it. And I'm telling you, you are going to suffer for it as a parent. But more than that, you're fully cooked. You go to jail, you're out of town, a 19-year-old is supervising a 12-year-old, you think that that's okay, but she's not fully cooked yet. And unless you take control of this not fully cooked 12-year-old, you are going to suffer, but so is she. And when you say to me, I believe my daughter, I say, you are hopeless. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested, $1,000, and that includes your moving costs. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
They asked me if I wanted to file assault charges, and I said no, I just wanted to keep her safe.
Other mother knew that my 19-year-old was watching the girls, so if she chose that it was unsupervised, she knew what was going on.
The whole family's going to end up in jail.
Chelsea's a very good child.
Take your friends wisely.
24-year-old student Aladine Guidar is suing his ex-girlfriend, 21-year-old lifeguard Rachel Wall, for unpaid rent and telephone charges. Rachel says she never agreed to pay.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Quiet in the courtroom. Your Honor, this is case number 93 on the calendar, the matter of Guidar versus Wall. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Guidar, it is your claim that the defendant owes you for some rent and a cell phone.
As well as some other charges.
And Ms. Wall says she owes you nothing. She was your girlfriend for a while, is that right?
We were dating. Everything started back in October. We started going out in October of 2001. At the beginning, it wasn't anything very serious.
I don't want to go into the romance, Mr. Guidar. I just want you to tell me, sir. I just want you to tell me. There came a time that she moved into your apartment.
Yes, she did.
Okay.
She moved in on February.
You have to listen to me. I ask questions. I know you want to tell me everything, but I have to do it in a certain order. When did she move into your apartment?
She moved in on February the 15th.
She moved in on February 15th, and this was to be a short-term arrangement because she was waiting for an apartment. Is that right?
Supposedly she was looking for something.
Tell me about the conversation that you had with her when she moved in, according to you, on February 15th.
Okay, on about February when she decided she was, I think, they had some problems on her old residence, so we agreed, me and her, that she would move in with me and pay half of the rent, which is $500, and I have here the lease.
Just a minute, you're going to get, just a sec.
Also that she was going to go ahead and pay for the bills, half of the bills. And I had every reason to trust her because, I mean, she invited me to go visit her parents. I had a long stay with her over there in Texas, where she's from. You know, great people, great family, and, you know, I had every reason to trust her. I said, okay. So she was having some financial difficulties, and she said that she was expecting some check, I think some investment check. So I said, okay, you know, pay me at the end. And when time came in where I said it was in the beginning of April, exactly April 10th, and I said, look, you need to pay me for the past 2 month rents and pay me for your phone bills. She said, okay. She started, okay. 2 days later, she said, okay, we're breaking up. I'm moving back to Texas. And what she did was she did transit and move in with Amanda. Okay, and from there, you know, she did the same thing with Amanda, and this is my witness exactly, and she did the exact same thing with her. And I have a whole lot of mail right here to prove it.
Mr. Goddard, are you ready for me to ask you questions now?
Oh. Sure.
How long had you been living in this apartment?
I've been living there for over a year.
And were you living there
It's
alone?
a house, actually.
House. And you've been living there alone?
I've been living there with my brother and another roommate.
And how many bedrooms are in this house?
There's 3 bedrooms, but she agreed that she's going to share...
Just answer my questions. 3 bedrooms.
3 bedrooms.
You have 1 bedroom?
Yes, I do.
Your brother has 1 bedroom. Is that right?
But me and Rachel were dating.
Listen to me. I don't want you to think, Mr. Goddard. Listen to me, Mr. Goddard. I don't want you to think, sir.
She was taking 50% out of my closet, so I think she was sharing my room right there. She was...
Who do you think is smarter, you or me? You think because you're trying to get 1 step ahead of my questions that you're smarter than I am? On your best day, you're not as smart as I am on my worst day. So I want you to pay careful attention to my questions and answer my questions. And you'll answer them truthfully, or else I'll wring you out to dry. Do we understand each other? You have 1 bedroom, correct? Your brother has 1 bedroom, correct? And then there was a 3rd roommate that had a bedroom, correct? That's 3 bedrooms. So would it be fair to say that when Miss Wall moved in with you, she was staying with you in your bedroom? Is that a fair statement?
That's a fair statement.
Good. Wasn't that easy? You see, there might be a chance for us. Now, your share of the rent was how much, Mr. Goddard?
It was $500.
So the rent on the house was $1,500 a month? Is that right?
It was $1,475. I was paying $500 since I was having the largest room.
And you always had the largest room. You didn't just get the largest room when Miss Wall moved in.
Yeah, I always did have it.
When Miss Wall moved out in April, did you find someone else to move in?
And no, I didn't.
So you're still in the big bedroom by yourself. Is that right?
Yes, I am.
You see, he's trying to think, Bert. You know, and it's really so interesting to watch the mind. Where is she going and what is she doing? All right. So, before she moved in, you're living in the big bedroom all by yourself, paying $500 a month rent. According to you, she moved in on February 15th. I would like you to show me a piece of mail that she received at your house during the month of February.
I didn't open them.
No. We have postmarks.
Yeah, postmarks, sure.
Take a look at postmarks.
Exactly. That's smart.
Bert, would you help him out to show me where the postmark is?
Yeah. February, she carried all her mail.
Just listen to me, sir.
She would live there.
Just listen to me. Find me February.
I cannot find February.
Right on.
And the reason for that is because she lived there and she had all the mail when she was living with me in February, which means she kept it with her.
Now find me March.
She lived there in March as well.
March, I know March. She said she lived there. Yeah. From March 1st until April 15th.
How can I have a piece of mail of hers for March if she lived there?
Because maybe you kept it. Maybe you kept the envelope.
No, I didn't keep anything
proof.
from her.
Nothing.
She kept everything she had.
Now, is that all her mail?
All the mail that I have.
Is that all her mail?
Yes, it is.
And that's all her mail? You kept that mail?
Yeah, I kept receiving it.
He wouldn't give it to me.
You kept that mail?
Not.
You want to go to federal prison?
Not true.
Do you want to go to federal prison? Keeping her mail? Could I see all that mail, Bert?
Sure, yeah. Sure.
Mr. Goddard doesn't want to go to federal prison. While he's gathering up the mail, Miss Wall, you want to tell me when you stayed with Mr. Goddard from whatever date to whatever date. Did you share his bed?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you intimate in his bed?
At times.
Were you working at the time?
On
the
and
answer is not an answer. The answer is people usually know whether they're working. Were you working at the time?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work were you doing? Is not an answer.
Different jobs here and there.
Like what?
I worked security downtown.
What else?
That was mainly it. That was where my income was coming from.
You know you're not telling me the truth, Miss Wall. I'm not going to press you.
I had several different jobs. I'm trying to think what jobs I was at when I was living with him.
To you?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He was the one that chose
I didn't ask you anything else. Of course you chose to cancel it, madam. You have a big mouth and you're a liar and you use people for money.
And later today,
one of the people that you had asked for help backed it up into her car, got out, left the car running, and relocked the car.
Yes.
I want you to hum for me the theme from The Twilight Zone.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Aladine Guidar says ex-girlfriend Rachel Wall owes for rent and telephone bills.
You owe people a lot of money.
Yes, ma'am.
How come?
I've been a student, so I haven't been able to work as much as I needed to.
Then you don't rent things from Blockbuster.
That's a lie, sir. Ma'am, she's not. She hasn't been a student, Your Honor. She's been
I've been a
lying to
student
her
at J
parents
Boutique. It's a
that she was a student and she wasn't.
beauty college.
So her parents kept sending her money for rent, and she kept it and kept on with the life. They go out, they're having drinks,
Would you give
they're
this back to Miss
hanging
Wall,
on.
please? These are all of her bills.
And,
Mr. Godard, now I want you to get over the rent. Whether she was there for 6 weeks or 7 weeks, I'm quite frankly not interested. I want you to tell me about the cell phone and the bill for the cell phone.
okay, on about the month of April, me and her were not being able to get in hold of each other. She was always away. She wasn't able to pay her old cell phone, which I found out only till now. So they got disconnected, and she said she needed a cell phone. We went to the place. We checked out the cell phones. I really trusted her. She was my girlfriend. I cared about her. I really loved her. I've seen, like I said, her family. And, I mean, I've had pretty much every reason to trust the person. I mean, I said,
Except she didn't
why
pay
not?
you any rent, sir.
Exactly. She didn't pay me any rent. She was saying...
So what happened with the cell phone? She got one cell phone disconnected because she didn't pay the bill. She hasn't paid you any rent. So you decided that since you couldn't get together with her, you'd get another cell phone. Is that right? You went to a store?
No, I didn't get her the cell phone. She
What did you
went
do?
there. She tried to get the cell phone herself.
Yeah.
Okay, she applied. She got refused. She said, can you
So she
co-sign
got-
for me?
Yeah.
Okay, I said, I had every reason. I didn't know that back then that she owed so much money until now. I didn't know she was like this.
2 weeks later, you threw her out because you asked her for the rent money.
She
Because hadn't
broke
paid
up
you
with me going, I have my witness, Your Honor. She knows exactly what happened because she moved in with her.
So tell me what happened with the cell phone, sir.
What happened with the cell phone is we got the cell phone. She broke up with me. I said the first thing is, okay, the first thing I want to get taken care of is take over the cell phone. Call somebody, call your mom, have them take over the bill, which means they're going to co-sign for you again. She said, okay, I will do that. I gave her a month. I contacted her several times.
How much did she rack up on the cell phone?
$344.3 for just regular charges plus $150 of disconnection fee. And here's Your Honor. Here's everything. I
Let
have the
me see
evidence
that.
for it.
Now, Miss Wall, tell me about the cell phone. That's the charge I'm interested in.
Well, it was his idea to get the cell phone. He couldn't get a hold of me. He
Not
was
true,
always
Mama. She
wanting to
needed
know
a
where I
cell phone
was.
bad.
And
I
I
don't
had
want- just a
canceled my
second.
other phone.
I don't want to hear your voice again until I look in your direction.
I canceled my other cell phone because I had some disagreements with, which is the company that
Oh, give me a break. You owed them money. So they cut you off. Don't give me disagreements. You know, what are you, a con artist? You have bills here, your bills. $344 is your bill, plus a disconnection fee, which I assume he did in order to get his name off this whole account. Who did you expect to pay this bill?
I was going to pay for my bill.
Good. That's fine. That's perfect. But
it was his idea to cancel, and he was the one that wanted me to get a phone. He pressed the issue and got the phone for me. He used my phone for calls as well. He made some of those calls, not just me.
When you left, did you take the phone?
Yes, I took the phone because I paid for it.
No, you didn't. You didn't pay your bill. You took the phone, and you used the phone, but you didn't pay the bill. Now you have to pay the bill, as well as the disconnect fee, which altogether comes to $499.
He was the one that chose
I didn't
to
ask you
cancel.
anything else. Of course you chose to cancel it, madam. You have a big mouth, and you're a liar, and you use people for money. You lied to me today. I mean, I don't believe him with regard to you're going to pay half the rent. I mean, he lives in a room, one room. He's paid $500 a month rent for the year that he's been living there. He's not out any money. It's not as if he's taking a lease on an apartment. He's got a full-time live-in person who lives with him, shares his bed, and she was there for 6 weeks. And he wants rent? Get a life. All right? Cell phone bill is a different story. Cell phone bill is yours. You use the service. You pay for it.
He would not give me my bill so I could see to pay for it either.
Oh, well, now you're going to get your bills. Now you're going to get your bills. That's easy. Any other bills you claim she owes you, sir?
Yeah, it's some telephone that she made, some phone calls that she made all throughout. Calling her
How much?
voicemail, calling. It was comes out to the amount of $30.
Get over it.
All right.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $499. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He was involved in a lot of drug usage.
Like the judge says, she was a liar.
Everything escalated into an argument or a fight.
She cheated on me.
I wanted out of this relationship for a reason.
She uses a lot of people. She's just going through people like underwear, so I don't know.
21-year-old caregiver Nicole Kitchen is suing her former live-in boyfriend, rehab specialist Tristan Johnson, for pouring bleach on her clothes. Tristan is countersuing for throwing his clothes out the window, breaking his glasses, and vandalizing his car.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 179 on the calendar in the matter of Kitchen versus Johnson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
How old are you?
21.
And you?
I'm 20.
You're too young to be living together. Do you know that?
Yes.
I read these papers, and it's sort of like you were playing in a playpen, like 2 3-year-olds. Didn't you ever learn about working and playing well with others?
Yes.
How long were you living together?
In our apartment, we were living together for almost a year, but before that, we lived together for a year and a half.
Ah, all right. Now, you tell me what date it is that you had this big fight.
It was February 23rd, 2002.
And you were living together, still living together at the time.
Yes.
And you were angry with him.
Yes, I was angry with
You
him.
were angry. Tell me why you were angry, Miss Kitchen.
I was angry with him because he came home around 7 a.m. in the morning and woke me and my brother up arguing with me.
So what did you do because you were angry? What did you do to his clothes?
After we got into an argument, I took his clothes out the closet and I told him he needs to move out.
You took his clothes out of the closet, Miss Kitchen, and what did you do with his clothes? Just be careful what you tell me. Took his clothes out of the closet, and where did you throw them?
I threw them on the floor.
Did you throw any of them outside?
Yes, I did.
Yes, of course you did. And so he got angry.
Yes.
And he said to you, pick up my clothes and put them back. Is that what you said?
Correct.
And you said?
No.
And he said, if you don't pick up my clothes, I'm going to take.
Your stereo and throw them over the balcony.
And you didn't pick up his?
I didn't pick up his clothes.
And you did what?
Well, I kept the radio. She went and got some bleach to pour on my clothes while they was on the balcony.
So she went into a different room to get bleach.
The kitchen.
Show me how big the jar of bleach was.
It was this big.
Big jar.
Big jar.
And you said, you don't put down my radio, I'm going to put what on your clothes?
Bleach.
Shh, please. I love this story. It gets a lot better.
It's fun so far.
Gets a lot better. Anyway, you got the bottle of bleach out of her hand.
No, she put the bleach down. I picked it up. She ran in the room and got my glasses.
She put the bottle of bleach down, got your
Gucci glasses.
Fancy Gucci glasses.
Right.
You picked up the bleach.
Right.
What was she going to do with your glasses?
She said, I'm going to break them. I twist off the bottle of the bleach. I said, if you break those glasses, I will pour this on your side of the closet.
And what did she do?
She broke it, and I poured it on her side of the closet. But before all this, she done bit me up, scratched me, before she grabbed my clothes.
Before?
Before. Before she even grabbed my clothes, because I was trying to stand in front of the closet, she started scratching and biting me. Her brother was trying to pull her off of me, but while he was pulling, she still had a lock on me. She was like locked like a rock wallet.
What was she so mad about, Mr. Johnson?
She was all kinds of things that she wanted. She didn't want me to have no other girls, and that she was gonna mess up my face so nobody else would want me or something like that. So she was trying to scar me up.
Okay, so now she broke your glasses.
Word.
But before that, she had already scratched you up.
Yeah.
She was furious.
Yeah, her brother was trying to hold her back and telling her to quit and calm down.
Because she was angry.
And he
She's got
wrote
a
that
bad
in the
temper.
incident report.
Even with that sweet voice, she has a bad temper.
Word.
Excuse me?
Yes.
Okay, so you poured bleach all over her clothes.
All over it.
And she broke your glasses and scratched you.
She broke my glasses first, and then I poured it over her closet.
But before that, she had scratched.
She had scratched me and bit me.
Okay. Now then, clothes are bleached, you're scratched and bleeding, your glasses are broken. Somehow you get outside.
Yeah, she's just, when I poured the bleach, she just started crying and breaking down like she had lost her best friend. I grabbed my clothes and tried to put them in my trunk. I ran downstairs.
Okay. And when you got down to the car, what did you see?
She was telling her brother that she had called the police and to talk to the police while she'd come and chase after me. And I was putting things in the trunk, and she got in my car, and she was scratching my car. She hit my car. She was pulling all the CDs out my car. When the police pulled up, she was in my car.
No.
And then she got arrested.
She got arrested. She asked the police.
You have the police report?
Oh, word. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, I do.
May I see it, please?
And that's her brother's statement.
Just a minute, I'm
The
reading
only
everything.
witness.
I'm reading everything.
And I have pictures of the bruises.
I'd like to see those too.
There you go. All right. And I got glasses.
Can I tell my side of the story now?
Yeah.
Okay, that is not what happened. Tristan came home at 7 in the morning and woke me up. And
I heard that already.
We started yelling and arguing. He snatched my stereo out the wall and tried to throw it over the balcony. I told him that if he threw the stereo, I was going to bleach his clothes. He dropped my stereo and ran in the room. He picked up the bleach and ran in the room and had the bleach over my clothes. I told him that if he bleached my clothes, I was going to break his glasses. He poured bleach all over my clothes, then I broke his glasses. I fell to the ground and started screaming and hollering, and I told my brother to go call the police. He grabbed my purse and picked up his clothes and ran downstairs. I ran downstairs after him, and I grabbed his cell phone. So I told him I'll give him his cell phone if he gave me my purse. I gave him his cell phone, he gave me my purse. I stood by the car, and I wouldn't let him get into the car. So
your daughter?
Yes. So we stood by the car waiting for the police. He pushed me into
You
his
owe me for
rearview
listening
mirror.
to this, right? You owe me. Go ahead.
He pushed me into his rearview mirror. That's how his rearview mirror broke. I didn't have no keys in my hand, so I did not key his car like he said I did.
You kept telling your sister to calm down, right?
Yes.
But she was out of control.
Well, she has a reason.
She was out of control.
Yes.
You didn't tell him to calm down, right?
Well, I was...
No. You didn't tell him to calm down. You were telling your sister to calm down. Is that right?
Right.
Right. Uh-huh.
Well, I was...
I didn't ask you anything else.
All right. Ask you a question?
No. I ask questions.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You can't bite people. That's not nice.
He kept on pushing me down on the bed. That's why I bit him.
You can't bite people because you're acting like a nut.
And later today,
Brother smashes rental car that sister leased for him as a favor. Brother's answer is, duh.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nicole Kitchen says ex-boyfriend Tristan Johnson bleached her clothes in anger. Tristan says it was in retaliation for breaking his Gucci sunglasses.
Let me read you what you told the police. Your name is Carthen?
Yes.
She was yelling, your sister was yelling at him to get out of the house.
Yes.
She was saying he hasn't paid all of the rent.
Right.
Oh, sorry. She told him to go to his girlfriend's house. He cheated on her, and that's why they broke up. They argued for at least 45 minutes. Then she, your sister, started throwing all of his clothes onto the balcony. He took her CD player and said, if my clothes go over, your CD player goes over. She was trying to get the CD player back from him. He was holding her back with his other arm. She bit him on the arm to get her CD player. She took the player and put it inside. He still wouldn't leave, so she grabbed bleach and threatened to pour the bleach on his clothes. He stopped her from doing it. He grabbed the bleach. My sister took his sunglasses and threatened to break them. He told her, you better not break those or I'll bleach your clothes. She snapped his glasses in half. Then he poured bleach on her clothes. Then I called the police.
Yes.
Word for word is what you told the police, which is exactly what he said.
Mm-hmm.
I think she bit him twice on the arm and the chest, but I'm not sure. How long were you in jail?
9.5 hours.
You can't bite people. That's not nice.
He kept on pushing me down on the bed. That's why I bit him.
You can't bite people because you're acting like a nut. You're acting kooky. You got mad. But you weren't terribly injured, right?
No, but I gotta wear these scars for the rest of my life.
Yeah, it's not nice.
No, not at all.
Listen, you're each suing each other. You're suing because you say he has some of your property.
Yes.
And he poured bleach all over your clothes.
Yes.
He's counterclaiming because he says you broke his sunglasses, you assaulted him, you damaged some of his stuff, and each of you want $5,000 from the other. Do you think you behaved well that day?
No, I don't think I behaved well.
Do you think you behaved well that day?
I didn't put my hands on her.
You think you behaved
Besides the
appropriately?
bleach, no.
Well, but the bleach is a big thing.
Yes.
She threw your clothes down.
And it was just
She broke
raining
your
the next day, so
glasses.
my clothes was already a done deal.
Listen, she broke your glasses, you pick up your stuff, you leave the house until she cools off, and you haven't done anything to retaliate, because by retaliating, then you felt better, right? You thought you'd feel better.
Not
She
because
broke
of-
your glasses, so you were going to make yourself feel better by bleaching her clothes, right?
Right.
Well, that's what you did. So what do you want from me? You each got what you deserve. What do you want from
She
me?
went to my job and told them that I beat her up back in,
No.
that I choked her in the staff lounge back in January.
You have somebody from your job to testify to that?
I got the reason why I was terminated that
You
says
have
that.
somebody from your job to testify as to what she told them.
I just got the letter.
I don't read letters. Let's talk about the property.
Okay.
You each damaged the other's property. If you
Yeah.
think I'm going to value what you each damaged, you're absolutely nuts. You acted like two 3-year-olds in a playground. So if I would do anything, I would award you 0, you 0, you 5,000, you 5,000. That would each give you 0. Choose whatever you like. Neither one of you were entitled to any money, and neither one of you were entitled to waste 1 minute more of my time. Goodbye.
Wait.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She didn't try to jump on me while we was on the road.
He's the one who came home and attacked me and got mad at me.
She didn't try to attack me at my job.
I had a new boyfriend, and my new boyfriend came to my apartment. That's why he got mad.
For all those people that thought I put my hands on her, I didn't.
A big fat man like him lied.
Correctional Officer Sheila Lozon is suing her husband's ex-girlfriend, landscaper Robin Platt, for the return of her belongings. Robin is countersuing for storage fees and harassment.
Order. All rise. Quiet, please. Yeah, this is case number 137 on the calendar in the matter of Lozon versus Platt. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Lozon, while you were briefly separated from your husband, according to your complaint, the defendant and your husband were dating.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that you had some property in a storage unit. The defendant took the property out of the storage unit and now has it in her home. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
You want your property back?
Yes.
The defendant says she was told to take the property out by your husband, and she has a counterclaim for some nonsense that has to do with storing your property. We'll get to her counterclaim in a minute. During what period of time were you and your husband separated?
We separated the end of June in 2001, and we still were kind of trying to work it out into July.
During what period of time was he out of the home? From June of 2001 until when?
Till December of 2001. Yes.
And at what period of time were you dating him?
From October until December.
Is that when you met him in October?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you tell me how it came about that you went to the storage unit and when and what property you removed.
Okay, Marty and I were moving into a place together, and we placed some things in storage.
When were you moving in together?
In November.
So you met in October, you were moving in November?
Well, I've known him for years, but I started seeing him in October. We were moving into a place together.
How do you know him for years?
Small town. We both grew up there, same town.
So in November you decided to move in together. You were taking out a storage unit to put both your stuff?
Well, we didn't rent the storage unit. He said that he had a storage unit, and we placed some things in the storage unit together. And then he called and told me to remove the things from storage that we placed in there because it was Sheila's storage. She found out that our stuff was in there. She was going to turn the storage unit in.
So you put the stuff in storage in November?
Mm-hmm.
And when did you remove the stuff from the storage unit?
I want to say in January or February.
After they had reconciled?
Well, I didn't know that they were back together. Marty had left town on work, and that's the last I heard. I didn't know that him and Sheila were back together.
So when you say you want to say in January or February, could it have been
early
December?
February.
Early February?
Yeah.
So in February you removed the stuff. When was the last time you saw Marty?
Beginning of January, when he left town to go to work.
And when did he move back with you?
We technically haven't moved back in together. He, like she said, he works out of town, and he stays at the job site and just comes home like on the weekends, and sometimes he works straight through.
But you haven't seen him since January?
No, ma'am.
And you know that they're back together?
I
assume that you've spoken to Marty?
No, I haven't.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You mean he didn't call to say,
well, the last
I'm
time
not coming home?
No, the last time I talked to him, he told me to get the stuff out of storage because Sheila was upset about it being in there.
Oh, to get your stuff out of storage?
Well, the words that he said is you need to take the things out of storage. So I'm assuming it's Marty's storage.
All right, Miss Platt, Sheila's upset about it. You need to take the stuff out of storage. That could have meant just your stuff out of storage, right?
It could have.
Yeah, sure.
It could have.
And you hadn't spoken to him since January, so I assume that you knew he wasn't coming home. 6 months later, you know he's not coming home.
Oh, yes. Yes, ma'am.
Now, when for the first time did the plaintiff call you and tell you she wanted her stuff?
I want to say in March.
And what did you tell her in March when she called?
That, as far as I knew, the things belonged to Marty, and when Marty called me to tell me to give her the things, then I would return the things.
Oh, you know. How many times did she call you in March?
Oh, a lot.
Did she call you in January or February?
Oh, yeah.
When?
Always.
What do you mean always?
Always. I mean, anytime she felt like picking up the phone.
Let's talk about March. After you told her you're not getting the stuff back till Marty calls, because I assume you wanted to talk to Marty, which would have been the decent thing to do, right? To talk to him.
Yes.
On his part. Is that when the harassment started by the plaintiff?
Well, I mean, it's pretty much always been there. I mean, she's calling, she's going to turn the phone off because the phone's in Marty's name. She's going to turn the utilities off because they're in Marty's name. She's going to call social services and make a claim on me for not taking care of my kids.
You mean since March?
Since January is basically when it really got pretty out of hand.
Okay. What property do you have that Miss Platt has in her basement?
I do have a list. Do you want me just want to read it off?
I'd like to see it.
Okay.
TV, VCR, air conditioner, stereo, Canon camera, camping tent and equipment, vacuum, some clothes, a couple of lamps, blankets, pictures, VCR tapes and movies, a couple of small fans, miscellaneous knickknacks, a small clock radio, and one phone. Is that what you have?
A lot of the stuff is in boxes, so I'm not exactly sure what's in it, but...
And where is all the stuff, in the basement?
In my basement.
Good. You or Marty have to make arrangements to go and get the stuff. When's a good time for you to have them come and pick up the stuff?
Anytime's a good time for me, as long as tell Marty to call me for the things.
Well, listen to me. I'm creating an order. Marty doesn't have to do anything.
Okay.
I think it's probably a good idea that a third party go over there to get the stuff. I understand your anger.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I understand your anger. But that's not her fault.
I don't live in Michigan anymore.
Where do you live?
I live in North Carolina.
And where is all this stuff?
The things are in my home in Michigan.
Okay, so they're in Michigan. And who lives there?
My brother and his wife.
Okay, so they don't have to have any contact with you when they go there to pick up the stuff. Fine. Your anger shouldn't be directed towards her. Your anger, if there is any, should be directed towards Marty.
Yes, ma'am.
Who I see is cowardly enough not to be here today.
Exactly.
Thank you. Crawling under a rock someplace, where he's working.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Forget about Marty. He's not worth it.
Oh, I know.
You want him to be a man. He's not. He's her problem.
And later today,
I question why you would permit this violent, abusive man to whittle into your family business.
My mother was dying. She liked Bill. We all did at one time.
But she had no idea the extent of his behavior.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sheila Lazan says her husband's ex-girlfriend, Robin Platt, entered her storage unit and took her belongings.
Listen to me. You two ladies shouldn't have any issues with each other.
I mean, the only issue I have with her is that, she won't stop calling me.
She's going to stop calling you as soon as she gets her stuff.
I mean, I've had to leave the state to get away from her.
She won't stop calling you because you have her stuff.
I have Marty's stuff.
No, her stuff. They're married. If they're married, then the property belongs... How long have you been married, told Marty?
5 years.
The property... Shh! The property belongs to both of them.
Okay.
And if it turns out that I'm wrong, and if it turns out to be Marty's stuff, Marty should have been here to say, I want my stuff. Yep. It's mine. It's not
That's all I
marital
ever
property.
asked. That's all I ever asked, for him to tell me.
Just to
give it to her.
You want him to be a man and call and do the right thing. It's beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
He's not.
Okay.
All right? He's not. But your issue really isn't with her. So, what day? 5 days from today's date? You want to go and get your stuff?
Yep.
Okay. Your counterclaim really is for storage fees, for storing this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Your counterclaim is nonsense. She called you practically immediately and she said, I want my stuff back. You said, no, you kept it. You're not entitled to storage fees. And as far as the harassment is concerned, this is telephone harassment?
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
that what you're saying?
Well, it was local harassment until I left that town and moved it to North Carolina. And I moved to North Carolina to get away from her. And she's still calling my house in North Carolina.
What is she calling for?
Oh, just whatever. Anything.
No. What is she calling for?
Just to say what she has to say.
Like what?
Oh, you need to give my things back.
Right.
I'll come over there and slap you.
Right. She wants her things back. That's going to end all of the trouble. She wants her things back. Whether she says, Miss Platt, I would really like you to give me my things back, or she uses some profanity to get the message across, that's not harassment. You could have put this whole thing aside a long time ago by just turning over the stuff to her. And if Marty had a problem with that, then Marty would have had to have called you, which is really what you wanted in the beginning. Forget about Marty. He's not worth it.
Oh, I know. You're not telling me
He's
nothing
home.
new.
He's her problem. Got it? All right, court will prepare an order. 5 days. You go pick up your property. That's all. Counterclaims dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's a coward for not being here.
Marty just told me to give the stuff back. I gave it back.
Once your husband moves out and lives with another woman, forget him.
Don't mess with them dudes.
I'm left with a loser.
Care.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case 2195, Surratt versus Vasquez.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Surratt, you and Mr. Vasquez were in a relationship for a period of time and have 2 children together. How old are the children?
I have a daughter that's 15 and a son that's 8.
How long did you and Mr. Vasquez live together, if you did live together?
It was a lot of off and on, so I would say maybe a combined time of 8 years.
And does your daughter enjoy a relationship with her father?
Unfortunately, no.
Is that correct?
As far as I knew, that she had a great relationship with me.
When was the last time you saw your daughter, sir?
We spoke just a couple of days ago. She has more time with friends now, but I do speak with her on a frequent basis.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Why don't you wait outside? Okay? Because, Ms. Surratt,
I don't believe in unless it's absolutely necessary, and certainly in this situation, it doesn't sound to me as if it's absolutely necessary to have your teenage daughter as a witness over a couple of $1,000s, which you may or may not be entitled to. Certainly, her father is in touch with her. She said he's in touch with her, which means that they communicate and that they have a relationship. Because I read the complaint and I read the answer, and I have a few basic questions. You're suing Mr. Vasquez, who you haven't lived with in many, many years, but who you share, according to what I've read here, joint legal and physical custody. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that pursuant to a court order?
Yes.
And when was that court order made?
I have a copy of it, so I can tell you.
2011, Your Honor. 2011.
Was there a trial, Mr. Vasquez?
There was a trial.
I'd like to see a copy of that order.
It's from 2017.
Well, there was one in 2011.
This is the original one. It hasn't changed since then. We have parenting and legal custody, and a child support order, which is separate.
Okay, the 2016 order, the ex parte order, originally granted Mr. Vasquez custody of the children. Yes, you were the respondent in that case. It said on October 28, 2016, petitioner, that is Mr. Vasquez, filed a motion to establish custody and parenting time. The petitioner, that is Mr. Vasquez, seeks joint legal and physical custody. The petitioner also sought an order granting sole legal custody of the children based upon the allegations that his daughter was watching his son without supervision for extended periods of time and that his daughter was not attending school. Child Protective Services did an investigation and actually found that you were not sending your daughter to school.
Correct.
And she was staying home and she was babysitting. Okay. Would you tell me, without my having to go through this whole thing, was there a child support order entered?
Yes.
Ultimately the children remained with you?
Correct.
The final order. And what was the child support order?
The child support order initially was $93 a month. I think I have a copy of it. And then to increase based off cost of living adjustments.
How much do you pay in child support now, sir?
$230 a month, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, that's not the order.
Well, I asked how much you pay. Were you ever in arrears of payment?
I was at one point, and then I caught up, so I've been caught
Well,
up.
they're catching up, so that $230 may be partly arrears. What is the order?
Oh, I'm completely caught up with my child support.
So the current order that you're paying is $230 a month?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. This is what you're suing for. It is your claim that Mr. Vasquez agreed to pay half of certain sporting fees that the children had that are not contained in the child support order, and he didn't. So you're suing him for that, and he says that you never had such an agreement, that you enrolled the children in sporting activities, and then came to him and said, do you owe me half? Am I reading that correctly?
Your Honor, that's correct.
That's your position?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so let's move on to the plaintiff's position that you wanted to change the child support order to not what he was paying, but what he was paying, and half of their sporting activities.
We actually had a verbal agreement.
Well, I'd like you to tell me when that took place, what you said to him, and what he said to you. So tell me first when that verbal agreement took place.
It was 2021, probably. Just a conversation between two parents to say if we enroll.
It's a conversation between two parents.
Right.
So he's seeing the children, he's paying his child support, whatever the order was. You have a conversation with him. Is it on the phone or in person?
Desiree Surratt claims her ex-boyfriend, Curtis Vasquez, owes for the cost of a car and childcare. Curtis is countersuing for car repairs and vacation.
21, probably. Just a conversation between two parents to say if we enroll.
It's a conversation between two parents.
Right.
So he's seeing the children, he's paying his child support, whatever the order was. You have a conversation with him. Is it on the phone or in person?
No, in person.
At your home?
Yes.
Okay. And tell me about the conversation. What did you say to him and what did he say to you?
I don't remember the exact words, but...
Well, that's why we bring these things quickly, because now it's 2 years later.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was basically, well, he wants to play this sport, Angelina wants to do track, this is how much it's going to cost, and his response was just, okay, let me know how much it is, and I'll pay half.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's not quite correct. We don't have just conversation. We don't have any conversation at all. We communicate via text, and I rarely get a response. I've taken care of...
Just a second. We're talking about this one instance.
Okay.
She said that you had a conversation with her where you agreed to pay half of their sporting events. Based on that, I assume that you enrolled the children in the sporting events, paid the fee, and then said to him, this is your half. And he said, I'm not paying that half.
That's not correct, Your Honor. I didn't agree to pay half.
No, I'm not saying you agreed to pay half. That's what her position is.
I actually enrolled my son into soccer.
When?
It was this summer in July. And he was supposed to go for a month, and she took the kids out of the state without my knowledge for an extended vacation. And so I didn't have her pay half of that. And when she came back, she wanted to make that up to him. But that's without my knowledge.
Okay. How much did you pay for reduced to a modified order of the court? Because you have a court order for support. Okay. So I'm eliminating that. You want to change the order of support, you have to change it in court. Now let's move on to the second thing that you think that he owes you for. Cell phone. Let's hear about the cell phone.
He opened a cell phone account for my daughter.
When?
I don't know when it was.
When did you open a cell phone account, sir?
About 7 years ago.
And he paid it? He opened an account and he paid
Either
it?
him or his dad. It was a business account.
I don't care.
I don't know
You
who
didn't
paid
pay
it.
it.
Correct.
You didn't pay it. So your daughter has had a cell phone for the last 7 years. Okay. And you didn't see the bills for it?
Correct.
Okay, so he paid it.
Somebody paid it, yes. Yeah.
He paid it.
I paid it, Your Honor.
You didn't pay it?
Correct.
Okay. So now you want money for a cell phone. For what?
Just for the last 6 months that I paid. I never agreed to, so I'm just asking for
Then
half
take
of
the
that.
phone away.
Well, she's 15. She's got
I
a
understand
job,
that.
and
I understand that. Who bought her the phone?
I bought the phone.
Okay. And how many years ago did you buy the phone?
It was about 1.5 years ago.
Okay. And it was paid for on his plan?
No, I paid for the phone cash.
No. The bills, ongoing bills, were paid for by him and the phone that you bought her 1.5 years ago, because you said you've been paying the bills for 6 months.
Yep.
Is that correct? Whitney, didn't you say I've been paying the bills for the last 6 months?
Yes. Correct.
Well, so when you first got the phone for a year, he was paying the bills.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Well, he was paying the bills for 7 years, but certainly after you bought the phone. But prior to that, she had a different phone. She had to have had a different phone because he was paying the phone bills for 6 years. Who bought that phone?
I don't know.
Your Honor, I purchased that phone. It was the iPhone XR.
Okay. So you bought the first phone, you bought a second phone. Very order, if you agreed to do that, you agreed to do that. What are you getting courts involved for?
I never agreed to pay the cell phone.
Well, he never agreed to pay his cell phone when she was 13 or 12. Your parents. He paid it for a long time, now you're paying it. What do you do for a living, sir?
I'm a realtor.
You work in a family business?
Absolutely.
Tell me about the family business.
It's children first and foremost, what's best for them.
No, the family business, sir.
Oh, the family business.
You're in real estate. Is it a family business?
It is not a family business.
It's just yours. And you've been in real estate for how long?
For about 3 years now. And prior to that, I was in sales. That is a family business, and it's real estate marketing.
That's a family business.
That's family business.
You're not involved with that
I am.
anymore. You
Also.
still are?
Yes.
Who owns that business?
Dad.
Your father?
He does, yes.
How many employees do you have?
Just about 10, Your Honor.
So your father employs 10 people and you're one of them?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And what does your father pay you annually?
Oh, it's commission only, so no benefits.
And in the other real estate operation, do you have your own office or do you operate out of your father's office?
My own office.
Where?
In Maple Grove, Minnesota.
Do you have any employees?
I don't.
So you work for your father on commission and yourself?
Commission only as well in
Commission
the
only.
real estate market.
Okay. Did you file tax returns last year?
No, I did not.
Is there any reason for that?
Just late. Just over.
You're late. You're a year late.
Yeah.
What about the year before? Did you file tax returns?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did, Your Honor. 55,000, yep.
Okay, so phone bill, I've taken care of the phone bill. You paid it for her, fine. And if you don't want to pay it anymore, let her get an after-school job and pay for her own phone. Now, the next thing that you're suing for is, according to your complaint, you had a car that you weren't using. Mr. Vasquez has a father who wanted a car. It is your claim that Mr. Vasquez, without your permission, sold the car, your car, to his father for $700, and you didn't get any of that money.
Correct.
Mr. Vasquez says his father was going to buy the car. He drove it. He didn't want to buy it because it had issues, and it's sitting in his father's driveway waiting for you to come and get it, and that he never got $700 from his father for the car. That's his position, correct?
No, there's a correction. I did get $700 and paid him back the next day because the car broke down within a day.
Because what?
It broke down within a day.
Okay, so you did sell it to him?
Yes. We were in the middle of the transaction. He paid for the car at the office, which is about 10 miles away from home. And while driving the car home, it broke down. So we hadn't received the title or anything, so I returned the money.
Desiree Surratt has accused her ex-boyfriend, Curtis Vasquez, of selling her car without her permission. Curtis claims he refunded the money, and she can take the car back.
Okay, so you did sell it to him.
Yes, yes. We were in the middle of the transaction. He paid for the car at the office, which is about 10 miles away from home. And while driving the car home, it broke down. So we hadn't received the title or anything, so I returned the money.
Is the car still titled in your name?
Yes.
So go get it.
I don't want the car, no.
Well, it's your car. It's titled in your name.
Yes, but apparently I have text messages showing.
And he's saying, you can go and get the car. It's sitting in the driveway. His father doesn't want it. Title didn't transfer. He didn't get money for the car and keep it. It was a sort of silly transaction because what you are suggesting is he should have said to his father, that's it, it was sold, it's sold as is. You can't have your $700 back.
Right, and my understanding is that his dad, through a conversation that I had with his dad did not get the money back.
You can't tell me about the conversation. If you have text messages between them, I would like to see them.
I do, yes. So there's those text messages. And I also have several text messages where Curtis agrees to pay me the money and also telling me the
This
car
is
ran
Desiree.
the
Curtis said you would take possession of the Kia, but I asked about the title. Big Curtis, is that your father?
Your Honor, yes, it is.
Okie dokie. Mr. Vasquez, your father says that he gave you the money.
That's correct.
And that it certainly wasn't a day, because 2 weeks later, he writes back, sorry, not good at checking my text. If we could arrange for me to get the title while you were here, that would be awesome. That's 2 weeks later. Your father didn't say to her, he gave me the money back. He said, I want the title. That's 2 weeks later. So the story you just gave me was a whole lot of who shot John.
Well, Your Honor, there's one thing that we need to clear up right away is that it was never sold without her knowledge.
Just a second. Now what I'm asking you, sir, I'm saying that your original story to me was that I sold my father the car with Whitney, that the car broke down the next day.
He said the car broke down within a day.
Within a day, and so you gave him his money back. Well, that's not what your father says here, sir. That's not what your father says here.
I went back and forth with him for days, but I gave him his money back.
No, what you told me was a lie. You told me it broke down the day you gave him his money back. The initial conversation she had was May 9th. And then May 16th, she's having a conversation with Big Curtis. That's your father. Mm-hmm. Sorry for not checking my texts. Can you get me the title? Which means 2 weeks later, he wanted the title. And then your father says about you, Curtis owes me big time money. And I can't get money from him either. That's your father.
Yeah, that's
yes.
correct, Your Honor.
Big Curtis says to her, can you tell me what problem does Curtis have that caused him to spend massive amounts of money in such a short period of time? She answers, drugs, alcohol, gambling, he's a functional addict. He even got around $40,000 and he blew every penny. So the $700 you gave him for the car, I'm just going to file a small claims. For whatever reason, he's refusing to give it to me. It's not your fault that he stole the money from me. Just FYI, I have no issue giving you the title. Okay. So far, he owes you $700 for the car. And then we're finished. Get Big Curtis the title. Mail it to him. He sends you his address.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Great. Now you have a counterclaim, Mr. Vasquez.
Yes, Your Honor. I have some evidence I'd like to present.
Don't give me all that nonsense. You say that the plaintiff canceled a vacation trip. You made plane arrangements to take your children somewhere, and she took the children out of state. And I helped her repair her car and spent $250 on parts. When was that?
That was the car in question that we were just talking about.
Okay, you planned a trip to Portugal in August of 2022.
That's correct.
Airplane tickets. Where'd you get the money for all that?
My parents helped me with the purchase of the kids' tickets.
Why?
Because I couldn't afford all of them.
Who was going on the trip?
It was going to be my wife, myself, and 2 kids.
Did you go on the vacation to Portugal with your wife?
No, we did not make it.
You did not make it?
Correct. Why? Because she is responsible of...
No, not her. Not with your 2 kids. Did you go with your wife?
No, I didn't.
Why?
I didn't want to go without the kids. It was the whole purpose. It was to bring the kids to see the grandparents.
Does your wife work?
Yes.
What kind of work does she do?
She's a bartender.
Mm-hmm. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $700. Don't make any more private agreements with him, madam. I think it's a big mistake. We're done. Your counterclaim's dismissed. We're finished.
Thank you.
We're finished.
I had one more.
I just ruled that your counterclaim is dismissed. You're finished. I have very little to say about that case, very little thoughts, except that Big Curtis, the defendant's father, doesn't like him.
I didn't get to read the messages, but...
Clearly. He said, what is he doing with all the money? My initial reading of that case was, maybe she's being unreasonable. really not being unreasonable. Yeah. I have a feeling there's not a lot more to little Curtis than we were able to.
For stealing money from her deceased husband's bank account.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2190, Friend versus Ivy Jr.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Friend, your husband passed away recently.
Yes.
When did he pass?
August 26, 2022.
What did he pass away from?
He took his own life.
You have kids?
I have one. I have a daughter. She's 7 months old. She was born June 14th, 2022.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
It is your claim that Mr. Ivan, after your husband's death, withdrew money from your husband's bank account. Was that a joint bank account or his own bank account?
It was under his, but
So it was his.
Yes.
So it was his bank account.
It was.
Did you also have a joint bank account?
We just shared that one. I wasn't working, and I'm not working. He is sole provider of our family.
So the bank account was in his name solely?
Yes.
Okay. How do you know the defendant?
We met in 2020. We worked together at Target, and that's my husband and I, and also the defendant.
So you worked there?
Yes.
Did you become social friends?
Yes.
And at some point, Mr. Ivan says that your husband needed money, that he was in some sort of difficulty with rent money.
Okay.
That's what Mr. Ivan says. In what month, Mr. Ivan, do you claim that you loaned money to Mr. Friend?
Mr. Whalen is his name.
Whalen.
Yeah. Michael and I are best friends from the day that we met, by the way. Just hit it off right away. 2022.
And was the conversation about the money in your house?
Yes.
In your house?
Yes.
I'd like you to tell me what that conversation was.
Absolutely. Michael showed up at my door on August 17th. He needed money, and he needed away from the plaintiff.
Just a second.
Uh-huh.
Don't tell me what he needed. Tell me what he said to you.
His rent is very far behind, and he would like to borrow $1,500.
Did you ask him why?
Of course.
And what did he say?
Rent.
No. Why his rent was so far behind?
Oh, not exactly. He stayed with me for the next 2 days, so we had a lot of conversation about it.
Okay. So when he came on August 17th, he did not stay home with his wife and the new baby. He stayed with you for how many days?
For 2 that week.
You and your husband been having a difficult time?
We were the last couple weeks before his ending.
And he did, in fact, stay out. Did you know where he was staying?
No, I did not.
Okay, but you knew he was out.
Yes, I had asked him to leave.
Okay. Now, his rent in his house where his wife and his baby was overdue.
Yes, Your Honor.
And he needed $1,500 according to you, so what did you do?
I gave him the $1,500.
Mrs. Friend, in June, July, August, was your husband working?
Yes.
Same job?
He was working with Burlington, so yes.
Did your husband have any problems that you know of with either drugs or gambling?
I didn't know at the time.
But do you know now? Yes. What kind of problems did he have? Okay, so that would account for his need for money and also for problems. Okay. Your husband was a young man. Did he have any life insurance?
He did, yes.
He did. How much?
It was, oh my goodness, it was $200,000.
Did the company pay on his life insurance? No, because he committed suicide?
Oh, it wasn't that. It was he had lapsed his payment. So I think his last payment was, I believe, in May, and he did not pay it. So because of that, they did not.
It lapsed?
Yeah.
It might not have been effective anyway since he took his own life. Okay, so you lent him $1,500. And how did you repay yourself and when?
Your Honor, I'd like to point out that she was very well aware of the fact that he was using cocaine for the better part of the year.
Just a second.
Okay.
Mr. Ivan, not necessary.
Okay. I repeat myself because that was our agreement. Michael was at my house a week later also. He logged onto my phone because he no longer had any belongings. He no longer had a physical wallet or a phone in his possession. He lost them. Miss Friend had his wallet, but I can show you that later. For now, he's asking me if he can put his memorized information on my digital wallet, which I can show you now if you'd like.
Yes.
It's still on my phone to this day.
His information?
Correct.
Okay.
With the agreement...
Just a second. I could understand you taking back the $1,500 because you say that was his agreement with you, as was sort of buttressed by the fact that he put his banking information on the card. But why would you transfer any other money other than the $1,500 out of his account?
Courtney Friend claims.
I want you to bring that up.
Yeah.
And Sarah, you're going to take a look at that?
It's the top card, sir. The one that says Chime. That's my digital wallet, my personal digital wallet.
So it's the same as when you put something in your Apple Wallet and you can pay using, I'm trying to think of the easiest way to describe this to you. If you log in to check your bank balance, you can save the card to your phone, so it makes it easier to pay with your phone. So it looks as if Mr. Friend logged in to the defendant's phone with his credentials and information.
So that
There's also latest transactions. The very last transaction was from 10/1/22.
And how much was that for?
$80 at a market. Then there's some gas stations.
That's for October. Prior to that.
There's a list of just latest transactions.
That's all those are the total transactions.
Yeah.
That you made?
Well,
just a second. There's an $80 transaction, according to Sarah, in October.
Yes, ma'am. So the way
was that your transaction?
It was.
Okay.
I have.
Well, just.
I'm sure they'll match with whatever.
$236 worth of charges. I charged $236 worth of charges.
From my husband's passing till.
Hold on. Hold. Well, I have $80 in October, but in transfer to, who is that?
That is
$1,400.
That is the deceased.
Who transferred that?
I transferred it. That is a GoFundMe account. And we'll get to this. The check that came through after he passed away hit my phone because he loaded his card onto my phone. The agreement was that I pay myself back when he was still alive with the funds that are on that phone.
Just a second.
The remaining I sent to a GoFundMe account.
Why did you do that? And I actually believe that it's accurate that your friend came to you.
100%.
That your friend came to you in need of money, that he and his wife were having difficulty, that he had an addiction problem, that he probably spent the rent money on his addiction problem. All of that sort of makes sense. And even though resorting to self-help after he passed, I would frown on. I would say this is a debt that's owed by his estate. And I could understand you, who had access to his account, taking back the $1,500 because you say that was his agreement with you, as was sort of buttressed by the fact that he put his banking information, and it's his sole banking information, on the card. But why would you transfer any other money other than the $1,500 out of his account?
Into his family's name, Your Honor, and I can show you why. I have transcripts with everyone that knows us. I could have a dozen people here. I'm sorry, I could have a dozen people here with me to make this claim, but this is a very sensitive situation for a lot of people involved. So I'm going to fight this fight on my own without them here.
Just a second.
And they will all tell you that this is the last person on earth that should have that money.
Just a second. This is not about you making a judgment or about 30 other people making
That's what Michael asked
just
me
a
to
second. Sir, unless you have a writing from the deceased that's authenticated in the same process as would authenticate a will, you have no right to make that judgment as to whether or not his wife and or child, I assume he died without a will, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So under the laws of practically every state, if you die intestate, which means you die without a will, there's a certain order of people who inherit your money. You have no right to amend that. You actually don't even have a right to repay yourself after he's dead. You have no right to do that. But I can actually understand your sense that unless you paid yourself, you weren't going to get your money back. I can understand that. But whatever your intentions were, sir, you have no right to do anything else with the money in that bank account.
May I?
Am I making myself clear? I hope so. Is that clear? Yeah.
Brought me right back to wills, trusts, and estates. So.
Yeah, right. Go ahead.
Your Honor, Michael and I had an agreement, okay? So whether or not he...
Sure, just a second. You and Michael had an agreement that you made a loan to him in the amount of $1,500, and in order to secure your repayment, I read your answer, sir.
Yeah.
He gave you his account number, and according to you, he said, when I get paid, you can take the money back that you loaned to me. That's $1,500.
May I continue? I've only used $236. That's all that I've used. $236. And I can show you the math here on this spreadsheet, but let's start with $1,500. $845 he paid back to me on August 24th, a week later.
Oh, okay, hold on a second. So $1,500.
That's right.
And he paid you back what?
$845 on August 24th.
Good for him.
Right.
Did he pay you back by Michael? Just listen to me. Don't play. Did he pay you back by coming to your house and giving you the money? Or
Digitally.
Did he, shh. He paid you back digitally.
That's right.
May I see that, please, Kevin? Okay. Kevin, I'd like you to show this to the plaintiff. Have you seen this?
No.
Okay, I'd like to show this to the plaintiff. So Mr. Ivan acknowledges that your husband, Miss Friend, pay attention, that your husband paid him back more than half of what he had borrowed. Now, then you took back, Mr. Ivan, from the account, how much money?
$236.
No, that's not true.
Shh.
We can go line by line.
Shh.
That's a debit, not a credit.
He sent the $1,400
$100 to the go. Oh, just a second. You can't do that, sir.
I have a baby.
Listen to me. You were there. You provided a shelter for Michael.
To get away
when
from
he
her.
was...
That's right. I'm sorry. I'll stop.
Courtney Friend has accused her former friend, Joseph T. Ivan Jr., of stealing money from her deceased husband's bank account.
Which of these charges? There's an $80 charge, a $60. Are those your charges?
Yes.
Okay, hold on.
$140.
Just a second. $145.
Yes.
A $77.35.
Yes, and that's it. Those four.
What about Cash App?
That's the digital transaction that you just had.
Oh, an $845. Got it.
I'm still owed $392.
Shh. Okay. Now, how much money do you allege, and I'm going to give this to you, or give you, you must have this. How much money do you allege that he took out of the account?
I'm asking for $2,700.
I don't care what you're asking for. That's irrelevant to me what you're
saying.
Oh, well, I don't care what you think. Miss Friend.
It's proof right there.
I don't. Other than the $1,400, which he says he transferred to the GoFundMe page, did you receive for your daughter any part of this $1,400 that came from a GoFundMe page?
I have not, no.
Okay. Just a second. Okay. But the GoFundMe page was subsequent to your husband's death. Is that right?
Yes.
Who started the GoFundMe page?
It was my husband's.
So this money did not belong to your husband. This money was not money from your husband. This money was started by somebody else, not the defendant, and somehow ended up in your husband's bank account. Am I getting that right?
No.
Well, what's this 40? How did it end up?
I transferred it from, that's Michael's bank account ledger that's attached to my digital wallet.
I understand.
And it's going to the GoFundMe.
Right.
A GoFundMe is a special account that's set up in a tragic, or well, not necessarily.
I know exactly what it is, but what I'm not following is why would it not be in this?
It is. He's saying that is a to, not a receiving.
That's a debit, not a credit.
He sent the $1,400
$100 to the go. Oh, just a second. Oh, you can't do that. Sorry, sir. You can't do that. So you took out money that didn't belong to you because at best case scenario, you're still owed $400.
$392.
Yeah, okay, $400. You were still owed $400, and you withdrew
the fact that the last person on earth that Michael would want to have that money is this person right now.
That's not your judgment to make, sir.
That's fine.
That's just a second. That's not. Listen to me. I tried to explain to you. What the laws of intestacy are in this country. If you die without a will, there are certain people who get your money, whether the deceased hates them, wasn't talking to them. It doesn't make any difference unless he and his wife are separated by a lawful separation order by the court. She and his daughter are entitled to this money, and it's not up to his best friend or his best friend's friends or other people to say he was angry with her, she threw him out. Whatever the reason that you're saying Michael would want the last person to receive any money from this GoFundMe page is the plaintiff, that's not your decision to make. You took back some of your own money. He paid you back some. You may get skunked for $400.
I don't want it.
Just a second. You may get skunked for $400. But if you sent this money to a GoFundMe page and that was $1,400
for the family's name, Your Honor,
you can't do that.
That's fine. I did it because Michael would not want her to have it, so I gave it to his family.
Okay. Well, you can't do that, sir. I'm not faulting you emotionally, sir.
Yeah.
Listen to me. You were there. You provided a shelter for Michael
to get away
when he was.
That's right. I'm sorry. I'll stop. That's a fact. It's just the truth.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,400. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
It doesn't matter. The woman's a fraud. She's a fraud. That money should not be going to her. She's the last person on earth that this gentleman wanted to have that money.
I'm happy. I'm happy that she's right, because it's not. I mean, what kind of person would...
Courtney's out for money. Always was in the relationship.
...take money from a new mom, someone who's grieving. It's been such a mess, and I feel good about this.
Because I'm the only one who would do the right thing with it, and he knew that.
He was very defensive. He was very defensive and very hateful.
I'm the great guy. He'd want me to fight the good fight. All good.
He shouldn't have took anything from me. I've already lost so much.
Happy it's over.
I've lost my best friend, my husband, the love of my life, and the father of our new child. It's not okay. He caught me in a very vulnerable state.
That case, for as tragic as it was, and I really felt for the plaintiff, brought me right back to wills, trust, and estates, and the basic, 3 rules: age of majority, of sound mind, and a writing. And it's just really unfortunate that the plaintiff's husband didn't have one.
If I were to venture a guess, I would say that most people, when they're under 40, don't have a will.
Yeah.
He was a new father, baby.
Makes it all that much more important.
Yeah, it does. But he was a new father with a cocaine addiction.
Yeah. Tough to try and guess the mental state of someone going through that, But I also agreed with you that you can't fault the defendant for his he knew how his friend felt, and he was trying to carry out those wishes, but there is the law and there are rules, and you can't take it upon yourself to redistribute your friend's money.
Or the GoFundMe money. Yeah.
A Nepomuceno for rent and the cost of 2 cats.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Case 2170, Jolie versus Calderon Nepomuceno.
Thank you. Oh, my goodness. Calderon.
Hello.
What's your first name?
Amante.
Amante?
Yeah.
Good. It's much easier than your last name for me to pronounce. Mr. Giglio, this roughly is what the case is about. You and Miss Calderon were in a relationship for a period of time. You decided to take an apartment. You were both on the lease. So far, correct?
Correct.
Your arrangement with Miss Calderon, which seems to be consistent in both your complaint and your answer, is that you had a much better paying job. She was going to provide the food and some other stuff for the house, and you were going to be covering the rent when you lived together, which you did.
Correct.
There came a time when Armante, who was a friend of yours, came to live with you. According to you, he was going to help out with the rent.
Correct.
He came, he lived with you, he helped out with the rent. You were no longer a couple with Miss Calderon. She stayed in the apartment for a period of time, but then they both left.
Correct.
And you're suing both of them for rent and for the return of 2 cats that they took when they left. You claim the cats are yours.
That's correct.
That's what the case is about. And some cat expenses in the event that I let them keep the cat. Cats. 2 cats. So when did you and Miss Calderon sign a lease together?
We signed the lease together at the end of July with the landlord present.
July of 2022?
July of 2021. Correct.
And it was for a year?
Correct.
And you had a job working for whom, sir?
I worked for a company called Steris.
What do they do?
Have 8 years under my belt this year.
And when you moved into the apartment in July of 2021, what kind of work was Miss Calderon doing?
At the time, she was working at an animal hotel.
It was a pet daycare boarding facility.
Okay. Were you an hourly employee?
I was an hourly employee.
And I am correct that when you moved in July, your arrangement was that you were going to pay the rent.
That was...
the arrangement.
Correct.
When did Armante come to live with you?
About August to...
That's
right.
correct.
Shh.
He...
Just...
Amante was going to be our 3rd roommate.
You mean 1, 2, 3?
Correct.
Well, you're not roommates, really. You and the defendant, Miss Calderon, were not roommates. You shared a room.
We shared a room
And Armante was going to live where?
in another room.
And what was your arrangement with Armante with regard to paying rent?
We would split the rent 3 ways.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And how much was your share of the rent?
All happened when they signed the lease. I came in, they signed
Okay.
everything.
Well, you didn't sign the lease.
I did not.
But you were there from the beginning?
Yes.
And it was your agreement with the plaintiff that you would pay a third of the rent?
Yes.
Great.
We asked the landlord
Okay,
too.
so, hey, try not to hold each other's hands. Let's do the coochie-coochie someplace else. So you agreed with the plaintiff that despite the fact that you were not on the lease, you were going to assume the responsibility of a third of the rent, $927.
Yes.
So you moved in July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. You left in April?
Yeah.
So you were there for 9 months?
Yes.
Did you pay rent for the 9 months?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
He
Why did you leave?
I decided to leave because he decided to go to another place he was offered. So
What do you
I
mean he
could-
decided to go to another place
He
that was...
got a place from his grandparents in another city. So I couldn't hold down the rent with her. So I decided to leave to save money and go back to my parents' house.
Mr. Jalil, you see, you don't make up a story like that, like he just told me. A lot of that has the ring of truth to it. Where are you living now?
my grandparents' house in an in-law unit.
So when did you tell them that you were going to a different place?
In March.
When did you leave?
I left in July.
Did you let him know that you were staying until the end of the lease?
I
what?
I discussed with them that I would be leaving, but I would stick around to help them find either a different location or even suggesting that we all went back to our respected families just to, call it.
Mr. Jalil, this isn't working for you. I have to tell you something, sir. This case is not working for you at all. And come from in your mind. Your agreement with her was you were going to pay the rent. You were never out of pocket. Your agreement was you were going to pay the rent. He paid his rent when he was there. He paid his 1/3. You then told them you were leaving. That's a whole different story than what you wrote in your complaint, Mr. Jalil. Do you understand?
Correct.
It's a whole different story. So, at best, Armante would owe you for 3 months' rent if they just left. But you told them that you were leaving. Now, when did you find out that they were a couple?
I found out at the end of April.
Were you all living together?
Yes.
So you just had 2 months left to the lease. So he was paying you. He paid you in March. You had May, June. You signed the lease in July. So it was over at the end of June, June 30th.
It would have been over at the end of July, Your Honor.
Well, she doesn't owe you any money for rent. At most, he owed. When you took this apartment, this expensive apartment that was almost $3,000 a month rent, had you had a discussion with Armante about moving in with you before?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Jalil, I'm reading your complaint because something wasn't registering right with me. You say you moved into the apartment together in August of 2021. Then you go through a whole bunch of stuff about a cat and then another adopted cat. You said in October we adopted a second cat. Around this same time, a third roommate moved in to shoulder some of the rent. Well, that's not true. He moved in right at the beginning.
And that was...
That was what?
That was...
A mistake.
That was a mistake.
Okay. But Armante acknowledges that he agreed right at the beginning. He volunteered the fact that he was there at the lease signing because it was agreed at the lease signing that he was going to pay a third of the rent. So, sir, you owe him rent as long as you show me that you've paid the rent. You moved out in July?
Yes.
And you paid your rent through July, or were you evicted?
No, I paid my rent in July.
Through July?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not subtracting anything because you stole his girlfriend.
That's fair.
What were you requesting when you filed your small claims case?
Either the return of both cats or $5,000.
That's not happening for you, Mr. Jalil.
Kamar Jalil claims his former roommates, Katie Calderon and Amante Nepomuceno, are wrongfully keeping his cats and owe him rent money.
Now let's deal with the issue with the cats. She doesn't owe you any rent. That was not your agreement with her. You moved out in July. August, September, October, November, December. 5 months ago, she's had both cats, right?
Correct.
She says they're her cats. When did you first file a small case? Be careful.
I was requesting either the return of both cats or $5,000, which was the accumulated expense of not just the cats, but also the expenses of our dogs as well. So any animal expenses for the time.
That's not happening for you, Mr. Jalil. When the cats were either registered or went to the vet, whose name is on the sheet as owner?
I believe it was Miss Calderon.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
And she owns the cats, and she's had them for the last 5 months. I suggest that you go and adopt 2 more if you want some more cats. You understand?
Yes.
You were living together as a couple. However, your friend Amante has to pay you for the couple of months' rent that he didn't, because he says, not you, he volunteered that was your agreement from the very beginning. So he owes you $1,854. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I think he's just kind of butthurt that I moved on.
At least now I can put everything behind me and say that I did try.
I didn't think it would escalate. I find fascinating, Sarah, that people will write and or be assisted in writing a complaint and an answer, but they read it over. This man is an intelligent man. He has a serious job for 8 years. First of all, he was suing for $10,000. Come up with that money. $5,000 for the cat's expenses, ridiculous. But his complaint had really nothing to, even the timeline.
As your clerk, I know that is a pet peeve of yours when
I don't understand.
they don't match up.
If you're going to tell a lie,
at least tell a consistent lie.
Right.
I think the right thing happened. I think the defendant friend admitted himself that he owed the rent, and that was great, even though he probably should have just kept his mouth shut.
I not said I was there when the lease was signed. This was always our agreement.
Yeah.
I was going to be the
but
third
he was
roommate.
honest, which we always appreciate.